last I saw you, you were on the road with Judah and the Lion, and we happened to converge at a, I can't remember what that town was called. Some like off the beaten path.
What was that town? That
Missouri
must have been
town.
this last spring.
Yeah.
This last spring was like kind of our college town sea market tour.
Yeah. So you sounds so
So
pejorative.
that's why I don't know where it was. Because
Yeah.
it's a town that I've probably never heard of.
Yeah. Judah put out, hey, like local bands, like fans come together and vote for your favorite local bands who should open these shows.
Mm-hmm.
And a band that I produced won in their, I guess, so it was state by state. So they won Missouri.
Oh, very
So they
cool.
got to open at whatever that venue was. And I was like, that's a fun opportunity for them, a little bigger theater than they usually get to play. And so I went out there and checked it out for them. And then I had no idea until you were on stage that you played with them.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
But so you play a lot on the road. You also have a solo project. You also are part of a band situation.
So did you move here specifically to pursue music?
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
That was the whole reason.
Yeah, so I went to school in Boston. Another thing that I don't jump into saying as we don't talk about California immediately.
bastard.
I usually don't jump in and say, I went to Berkeley.
Yeah.
But on this podcast, I feel comfortable with you guys. I feel comfortable with it. So
No
I
one
will
else
say
is
that.
listening.
But I went to school in Boston is usually how I start it. But I did go to Berkeley. So right out of high school, I was like, of course I'm going to pursue music. Like, this is all that I want to do. This is like, this is all that I have, really. So I went to Berkeley. And then from there, it's kind of like, Berkeley people either go to New York or LA. That is, if you don't drop out, like most people do. So if you are pursuing music after Berkeley, you go to either coast. Some people go to Atlanta, but it's usually like the people that are like more hip hop inclined to that were like, yeah, I'm going to go to Atlanta. But I was just like, I don't like New York. Now I love New York. I found my place in New York. I absolutely love it. I'm about to be there for about almost 3 weeks
What
next month.
changed?
I just kind of found the spots that I like
Okay.
and became a little less like terrifying. New York is like very isolating, but at the same time is very like overstimulating.
Yeah.
And if you are able to find your spots, just like any city, you find your 5 or 6 spots that you love that that you can go back to at any time, and that city becomes more of a home to you. And so that's where New York has become what it's become for me now. But at that time, I was visiting all the time because it was fun. I was in Boston. I would take a $1 Peter Pan bus to New York and hang for the weekend and sleep on some friend's floor, and then go back to school and get sick the next day because I'm hauling ass with all my luggage through Chinatown to make my bus and probably eating horrible, horrible food. But now I love it. But I was like, I don't want to go to New York straight out of Boston. Just doesn't really feel like my thing. I'm also really tired of a big city. I've been in a big city for 4 years. I think I need something smaller. But I didn't want to go just, back home to LA. I played in a lot of bands in LA that I loved a lot. But most of the bands that I had played in just weren't like really trying to do music full time and like do the thing, like jump into like the industry side of it. And I loved playing with those bands because of the artistry, because of how much fun it was, just because of how relaxed and like low key and just like no pressure making music was with those bands. And I still care a lot about those people, still talk to them. But I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pursue music here because I know my work ethic and I know that I would probably end up just living at home and working at a surf shop and like occasionally doing music, just, especially because it's so expensive out in Southern California. So I was like, well, where do I go? And I had some friends at school that were like, well, have you ever thought about Nashville? And I was like, where is that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know where Nashville is. And they said Tennessee, and I was like, I haven't even thought about Tennessee for a second.
Like not even one time my whole
Not even
life.
one time my whole life. Like, I'm from California.
Didn't
you
you
think I'm
think-
gonna think about Tennessee? Like, come on.
Did you?
What's next? Alabama? Like, I was like, yeah.
Hey, don't be
But
ridiculous.
I love Alabama.
Is that
now.
even a real state? I don't even know.
The only
did it-
non-real estate is Delaware, I will say.
Didn't you
True.
think
I
that
couldn't even-
Tennessee?
I couldn't find it on a map.
I mean,
If you had to guess, wouldn't you have thought Tennessee was like dead center in the middle of the country before you like looked it up?
honestly,
100% I would have thought that.
it's either dead center in the middle of the country or it's like way more south than it is. Because, people talk about Tennessee like, I mean, like, yeah, you hear, Jack Daniels. Like, there are things in Tennessee that were made, popular worldwide. Like,
Yeah.
whatever, country music.
You're the only 10 I see.
Exactly.
We all knew that.
The
Yeah.
classic pickup line. But, yeah, I definitely thought it would be, like, I think, like, more south. I probably did have to look at a map when somebody said Nashville for the first time. I was like, where the hell is that?
Oh yeah, and I was like, Kentucky's way further north than I would have guessed.
Right? Oh,
like,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Can't-
like way up there.
I would think like Kentucky is
Yeah.
the southernest thing there is, but it's like
Yeah.
no, it's almost not southern, and
Almost
parts
the
aren't.
Midwest. Yeah. And strangely enough, they have the heaviest drawl of like almost any southern state.
It's like its own special thing.
It really is its own special thing.
But have you noticed, like, the instant you cross into Indiana and you go to the next gas station, right in Indiana, all of a sudden the accent's gone.
Oh, completely gone. Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
it's just middle America at that point.
It's got to be like a...
nothing worse than Middle America.
Yeah, they got to be like just
I'm just
judging
kidding. Middle
those
America is
people over
super
there.
important to our entire country.
So
they have-
important for the
I
economy.
know we call you flyover states, but you're actually really important.
No, we love you, I swear.
Yeah, please keep farming.
Also, my band's playing there. Please come out. we actually love you guys. Please come out to my band show. But
Please keep farming.
Please
it makes
keep
it sound
farming,
like there
honestly.
are slaves.
Look,
like we're just out here living the
if
good
Middle
life.
America stopped farming, we just all die.
We just all
no,
die.
Right.
for real, yeah,
That's
where
important.
Most everything is coming from. I mean, especially the produce that we get here. It's the
Yeah.
closest possible place.
Yeah.
So-
Keep giving us that corn so we can play on stages and work at surf shops.
Yeah, exactly.
When you were describing, you're like, if I don't do this, I'll just work at a surf shop. I was like,
Yeah.
God, that life sounds maybe more fun.
See, it's funny because, having been in music full time now, like coming up on somewhere around 7 years, I have friends that are still working in surf shops, and I'm like, wait a minute, stability? oh, job security, stability? Like, and they still get to play music when they're not at the surf shop? I'm like, oh, wait, sounds kind of awesome.
You're like,
Yeah.
what am I
Oh,
doing?
a discount on swim trunks and wetsuits? Like, oh, you're just going to walk down to the beach after you work? I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I'm
Maybe even
rethinking
while
this.
you're working, if it's a great swell.
Yeah, exactly.
And then all day you just like talk about what you love and just like,
And then somebody has a pair of rainbow sandals that they're like, I'm ready to check out, and you check that out, and then you just walk around.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm like,
show your
rainbow
35 minutes.
sandals?
There we go.
It's
Yeah,
the only sandals I wear.
the only sandals that exist.
have you
That's
like,
true.
has it gotten to rainbow weather for you? It's
Today
like,
kinda
I wear
was.
rainbows.
It's like 40 something.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it's 40 or higher, I wear sandals. Other time I wear shoes if it drops below essentially freezing or I go to a wedding. Those are the only times I put on shoes.
Definitely rainbow weather in this room right now. So
Yeah.
you are
It's
wearing
a
the
little
proper footwear.
toasty.
I am glad that I did not wear wool socks in here, but we got lucky there was a 56-degree day. So
We
I'm
do
not-
have the thick animal print.
I do have this thick sweater. If
That's
I-
not
oh,
helping. No,
not at all.
That's a winter coat.
This will probably come off at some point, but
That's cool. I mean,
gotta wait.
it's the natural progression of the show to get more and more undressed.
True. Always naked by the end.
Wow, really? Oh, interesting.
Oh, you never watched.
I must have missed that part of the email.
Yeah.
I haven't made it to hour 2 of the podcast. Maybe
It gets real weird in the second half.
It's real weird.
So you
Fantastic.
decided to move away from the beach and to the landlocked state of Tennessee
Yes, I
to
did.
pursue music.
Sure did.
And let's see, been here 8 years. And now he had mentioned you're doing all sorts of different things, including playing in a band, which I know we talked about a little bit before the show, but
Yeah. So
When
as-
you're not on the road playing for bands, you
what bands are
work
you
on
playing
your
for?
band.
Yeah, I work on my
Right.
band. Yeah. So I guess it's technically a band. It's funny. I call it a duo project. But my bandmate, I guess, as you would say,
Sure.
she calls it a band because she lives in Austin, and she has a project of her own called Lady Dan, and it's fantastic. It's more like kind of dark, southern, like Americana indie music.
Oh, cool.
But she's amazing, and
Sounds
I've known
very
her.
Austin to me.
It is very Austin, yeah. She is also just herself very awesome, and she loves the place, as do I. I mean, like, I go down to track her vocals quite often, and we're super close friends, so it's great. But yeah, so we call it a band, and it was funny because we were at a party one time together in Austin, just like a small friends gathering, and as we were talking to people, she would introduce me as like her bandmate, and I was like, that's so funny. There's only 2 people. Can a band be 2 people?
Yeah, what-
And
what
also,
does
if
it
we
take?
don't play guitar or drums, is that a band? Because like we're mostly doing programming since it's electronic based. And I remember like walking out of that party and being like, "Hey, do you refer to me as a bandmate every time?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, that's so interesting." And she was like, "Why do you ask?" And I was like, "Well, because I usually refer to you as my like partner." Or like as my like project partner or something like the creative partner. That's it.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, well, in Austin, creative partner could mean a lot of different things." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I know where you're going with this. Interesting. I will make sure to say bandmate every time I'm in Austin." But usually people here get it because it's a lot more like music industry based. So if I'm, as most people know that I'm a musician. So if I do go to them and I say, "Oh, my creative partner," I'm assuming they're going to think music, and they're not going to think that I'm just referring to, sexual experimentation, just out in public on a, Thursday afternoon getting lunch somewhere.
My creative partner.
My creative
I
partner.
have like a boring partner and a creative partner, and like
Yeah, she's down for crazier stuff. My boring partner, we keep it vanilla, like we keep it pretty casual, A lot of eye contact, a lot of intimacy.
This is what happens. So.
Exactly.
just perfecting missionary. With her.
Just really perfecting the art. Not too many people lean into that. I think we need to do that more.
Perfect the art.
Yeah, it's like perfecting the art of pouring the perfect bowl of cereal. It's like, you can just do it like everybody does.
Right.
Just
Everyone knows.
quick
Milk
ingredients.
first.
Milk first. Oh,
I would never. I would never.
Oh, security. No,
I might need another drink.
honestly, yeah. But yeah. So when I'm not on the road, we're trying to work on that as much as possible. Obviously, she's got her own solo project and works a job on the side as any musician has to in today's economic state. But we kind of started this project because she had her own project, whatever. We met finally, like after, knowing each other online. I met her through a friend of a friend, who was like, you have to meet my friend Tyler. Like, you guys are so similar. And I was like, oh, where does he live? And she was like, no, she lives in Alabama, because she was living in Alabama at the time. I was like, a girl named Tyler. I was like, that's pretty cool. Became
Strike
online
and
friends.
strike.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, yes.
Alabama?
Great. Alabama? No. No, but honestly, I love Birmingham. Like, after visiting Birmingham a few times, I was like, this is a very cool place. Shout out Saturn. Love that spot. Great coffee, great food, great venue. But she was living in Alabama at the time, and then we just, became online homies, and then she started doing music only in like 2018, but she was just very good at it. Some people just like get it. Some people are like, oh yeah, I can play guitar, I can sing, and then you're just like, oh shit, you're pretty good. And so
Yeah.
she was doing that for a while, and then she at some point was like, we should work together sometime. I was like, yeah, totally. She had moved to New York from Alabama just to be there for a couple years, do the artist thing, and I produced a cover for her. She was like, I want to do like a Halloween cover of just the two of us, and I want to make it sound like I'm kind of like stalking somebody, because that's like how I want.
the two of us.
Honestly, that is pretty much the vibe, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, like, yeah, like how do you want to do it? And at that time, I was, I'd only maybe produced like 2 songs for people. I was like, not really in like full time in production at that point. And this was at a time where I had kind of deciding, okay, touring's not for me. It's not stable. Pandemic, kind of ruined touring. And I was like, if this is gonna happen ever again in my life, I need a career that's gonna be something that I can do from home, that I can keep doing with nobody around. And so I was like, it's time to go full-time in production. My best friend's a producer out in LA, and his brother manages him. And his brother told me, he was like, anytime you're ready to go full-time in production, I will manage your deals. I'll manage you. You just got to say the word. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, we'll see when that happens. And then sure enough, later 2020, I was like, Greg, it's time. We got to do this. I need to do this. And he was like, great. I got a couple money gig projects for you. Let's go. And I was like, sick. So got a couple projects locked in, started cutting my teeth in the production world, and then she was like, let's do something production-wise. I was like, great. At the time, the artists that I was working with were, this might have been their second or third EP, and at that point, it's like, I have my vision and my idea of what I want to do, and sometimes it does not match up with the artist, and the artist is like, wow, this sounds so cool. Change everything. And then I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm more so just engineering this project for you, and I just so happen to have a guitar, and so I'm going to play that how you want it kind of thing. Which was fine, and it was great. I learned a lot from it, and I still am learning. I still work with a couple of those people, and it's really fun to see the growth and how they've improved and how they've grown. And just like the songwriting has grown, all of this. So it's like it's been really fun to see, and to be able to stick around with those people. But when working with Tyler, went to New York when she was living there, and we started the song, and I was like, cool. So like, how do you want it to sound? And she was like, oh, you can do whatever you want. And I was like,
What?
Whatever I want? I was like, really? Like, it was the first time that someone was like, yes, full creative control, and I'm paying you for it. And I was like, this is awesome. I was like, this is what I want to be doing.
That's really rare.
So we did this cover, and it started very like cinematic, like super heavy like bass hits and like massive synths and stuff. And then the midsection went kind of into like a spooky 60s rock with like harpsichord, real drum set, like picked bass kind of thing.
Cool.
And then the ending, like we built it up to like basically like a dark wave, like dancey ending side of it, and she loved it, and people loved it. Even still, people are like, oh, this cover's awesome. Like, if I ever send a production reel out to people, they'll usually be like, I love that Just the Two of Us cover. I'm like, sweet, thanks. I did it years ago, but yeah, I love it too. But the next year, she, we were just in talks. We got closer after doing that, and she was like, at some point I would really love to form a side project called Crying Contest. And I was like, that's a great name. I'm in. And she was like, oh, okay. And I was just like, oh, sorry. Did I
That
just like
wasn't an
invite?
invitation.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, did I just invite myself into this? But that's just like, yeah, anytime anybody mentions like, I want to do a music project, I'm like, okay, when are we doing it? Like, I just get really excited. And it's like, it can be like sometimes to a fault, because sometimes people are like, whoa, dude, like I have a band. And I'm
Hey,
just
if you
like,
don't
that's
ask,
cool. Exactly, yeah. Or if you don't just step in and say, I'm here now, great,
Right. Make them do the uncomfortable thing of saying,
no, yeah.
instead of you having to ask. It's a genius move, honestly.
Like, can I be in your band? There's just something like so cheesy about
Carson
that. Rather
Cody,
than just
master
being like,
manipulator
cool,
over here.
Hey. Oh, great. I hope nobody hears that part. Delete it. Cut it. We got to go. But I was like, that's a sick name. I'm totally down. And she was like, oh, sure. Okay. And then we didn't really talk about it for months. And then that summer of, I think, 2022, she was like, hey, I want to do another cover with you for Halloween. Like, we should just do another Halloween cover. I want to do like a fully just all dark wave, like danceable version of You Want It Darker by Leonard Cohen. And I was like, that sounds sick. Here's the thing though. Lady Dan is like, it's like more of an indie project. It's a band, like you have like a Americana-ish band behind you and you're singing about these very like poetic, she's a big Leonard Cohen fan. So like she sings a lot of very similar dark themes as does he. And I was like, here's the thing. Lady Dan is this thing. And that's awesome. What if we took this and this became Crying Contest and this became the start of this all? And she was like, yeah, okay, I'm down. And so we did this cover together, put it out, started Crying Contest, and it's been great. I mean, it's definitely more of like a side project at this point, just with like all the things that like we're trying to do and keep up with. Just me being in music full time, paying my bills with production and or touring. It's like I kind of have to live like a shark, like I kind of have to keep moving constantly in order to afford just living in general.
Is that a thing
nowadays.
sharks do?
Yeah, sharks actually. So why people say like, you have to move like a shark is because if sharks stop moving, they die. Quite literally. If
They also can't
stop
swim
moving,
backwards, I think.
They can't swim
right?
backwards, yeah. So it's always forward, and if they stop moving, they die. And so I tell people a lot, I'm like, yeah, if I stop moving, I die. It was only recently that somebody was like, oh yeah, you kind of have to move like a shark. And I was like, huh? And I asked the same question. And they were like, oh yeah, if sharks stop moving. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Interesting.
I'll use that from now on. So
Yeah. No, it's like super accurate to a music career.
yeah, it kind of just has to be, especially if you're like pursuing it full time, and it can be tough, because it's like you can have a lot of clients that expect a lot of you. But if you have a part-time job, or if you like are working a bunch of different things and you are not making time for this, typically people will be like, oh, it seems like you're too busy, and it's like, and that's totally fine. It's totally understandable. But if you like really want to do it, like you kind of have to just like dive in and like accept that you're going to be working a lot. Like you're going to be probably waking up every day thinking about music. And it's like, it's rare that musicians get to take vacations. So touring kind of becomes my vacation personally, which is really nice. But yeah, so we work on that as much as we possibly can, remote. Winters, we're usually kind of chilling, taking a break. But yeah, right now we're working on an EP, kind of experimenting with like a lot of different genres. That's just kind of how I view EPs for like my personal self is like put out a 5-song EP, do like a bunch of different sounds in the EP, see what hits, and then whatever hits the most, maybe pursue a full-length record in that kind of lane. So that's what we're up to right now.
That's right.
We released one single, and then we have probably like 4 or 5 other songs that we're going to be doing. But yeah, so when I'm not on tour, work on that. Otherwise, I'm producing a lot, doing a decent amount of string arrangements. I usually do like at least a few a year kind of thing. It's something that I also kind of fell into by accident, but that I grew to love. And yeah, other than that, just, try to do as much as possible. Try to keep up with solo projects too, to remind myself that music's not all work, like this is fun. Like you chose to do this because you love it. So even though there are some days where you're just like, I just do not want to sit down at my desk and finish this song today. Like I want to go outside, or like I want to ride my bike, or like I want to go hang out with friends. Like I want to do this, but it's like you do have to do this. Like you have to work to pay your bills and stuff like that. So I started doing my solo projects as like a little reminder to myself that's like, hey, this is fun. Like you enjoy this, like even if it's just this part of it that you enjoy, like, make sure that you are getting satisfaction out of the one thing that, I spent most of my life pursuing. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
Very fun.
Well, I want to talk more about sharks, but
Same.
I think, why don't we take a quick break and play a Crying Contest song?
Yeah, you can load up the You Want It Darker cover that we have. That seems to be a hit amongst people.
want some autoclave. You want darker? We can flame. They're lining up the prisoners and the guards are taking aim. I struggle with some demons, they were middle class and tame. I didn't know I had permission to...
So speaking of sharks, goldfish.
Goldfish.
True.
So
Wow.
my fiance and I have a goldfish together.
Uh-huh.
It's not a very standard thing, but basically we won this goldfish
Wait,
at the
what's his name?
Clark.
Okay.
Phenomenal.
We won him at the Williamson County Fair like a year and a half ago. Clark kept living. And so, like initially you get a fish and it's like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Enjoy this week of your life.
Exactly.
But it kept going.
I think you're just bad with pets.
Huh? No, everyone knows goldfish die quickly, especially ones from the fair.
That is true.
Because they're from like goldfish farms.
Oh,
and
yeah,
they have
that-
all these diseases.
Yeah, that's because you keep them in a bowl with no air circulation, and so they die.
So
in their
you're being
own
sarcastic
filth.
to the wrong guy, man, because we have a goldfish
That's
that's live
true.
for a
You're
year
doing
and a
all right.
half.
You're doing all right. I'm just
And
saying,
we have
goldfish
a
can live
tank.
for like 15 years.
The average lifespan of a goldfish is 10 to 15 years.
Now, how about
know
for
what
the
I'm about.
average
Wow.
person from a fair?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, like 3 hours.
3 hours, maybe 24.
It's just kids out there murdering fish.
Oh, yeah. They're shaking the bag around.
But yeah, we got him a tank and a aerator, and that's I think the main thing is the aerators. Like
keeping
that's
him
what's going
alive.
to keep him alive.
That is the thing. You're right. That's what I was trying
and
to
you
say.
gotta-
Most people don't.
You got to regularly replace their water. I just replaced his water last night. He was very happy after I replaced his water. He was like swimming around like super fast, way faster than he's been swimming recently when the water was dirtier. And I'm like, I wonder if he's like cleaning out his gills or something and just getting the gross water. I don't know what he's
Yeah.
doing, but he was very stoked about it. And so I was wondering, and I figured you're an expert on the topic, but like, do goldfish have to keep swimming? So I've never seen him sleep. I've never seen him
No.
not swim. When I have been awake, I'll be awake at 3:30 in the morning, 4 in the morning. He's still swimming around. In the 8 in the morning, he's
Yeah.
swimming around. Every time I've seen him, he is swimming around.
I wish I did know the answer to this, but
I do know.
I'm completely
You do know?
unaware.
How do you know?
Do you
this?
actually?
Yeah. So here's the thing.
Noted goldfish expert.
I have a buddy.
Oh, wow.
I have a buddy who is he breeds stingrays.
Okay.
That's what he does.
Casual.
Yeah, he's a good friend, and every once in a while he'll try to convince me I should get into fish, and so I'll go down a deep rabbit hole of fish research to try to figure out what kind of tank, and I'll be like, oh, I want this kind of tank, I want these kind of fish, and I'll price it all out, and I'll spend like hours and hours doing it, and then at the end I'm like, I'm not about to spend $4,000 on a fish tank.
No.
And then I buy nothing. But every couple of years I go deep fish research. So I can tell you for sure, fish absolutely can just stay still and sleep.
Well, good for them.
Most fish can do that.
That's what I figured.
I
But
think-
I will say, anytime that I've had a pet fish, it has been kind of just like
Yeah.
coasting, with a couple of like, maybe bigger tail flaps to like keep them going a little bit. And usually when they're still, you're like, oh, are they sick?
Are they dead?
Yeah.
Are they dead?
Wesley did pull up on the screen for a second that like I guess they sort of hover. They like slowly paddle just to like stay stable, and it
Good,
looks like
like
they're just
balance.
kind of hovering in the pond.
Yeah, that's why when they're dead, they go belly up
Yep.
because they're not stabilizing.
They're not stabilized.
very interesting.
Interesting.
I think one thing you really bring to the show is like
Random knowledge
me and
about
the
all sorts
guest
of
are
shit.
always in the music industry, and so like we have a lot of the same kinds of experience. Only you would bring like that you do deep fish research because you have friends that are trying to get you into the fish business. Like,
Just a friend that, breeds stingrays. It's just what he does.
Yeah, that's what he does.
It's casual.
Kevin.
tell them about your
Oh,
college.
Kevin. Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out.
What?
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna go through, so Carson has taken off the animal print. So if you're watching,
Nice.
great time to mention we are a video show too. So if you're just listening to
that's
this, tune into the video and see all of Carson's tats. We just covered fish, which you have a goldfish, obviously a koi
Big
on you,
Goldfish. This was the first tattoo I ever got when I was 19.
and on this side you have a snake. Jerry, you got a story about a snake?
Yeah, so once I ran an illegal snake breeding business. This is true, actually.
What?
Yeah, I tried to start.
Illegal snake breeding.
Well, I mean, the
business.
snakes weren't illegal snakes.
But
I
breeding
just didn't
them
have a
was illegal.
license
Oh.
to breed and sell snakes.
Where do you get that license?
I don't know. I never got one.
Oh, okay.
I eventually got
guess
shut
that's why.
down,
I guess
so-
that's why it was illegal. Okay,
Yeah, that's why it was
There we go.
illegal. No, I just wanted a pet.
Yeah.
And so I got a snake because you didn't have to take care of them very well. First I got a lizard, a bearded dragon. You got to take care of them.
Love those.
So much, though.
Yep.
You got to feed them crickets. It's a whole thing. And
Take
they
him
were
for walks sometimes even.
I did. I
right?
got him
Yeah.
a leash. I got him a little
Yeah.
harness, and then he would just sit there, and I'd be like, "Walk!"
You're supposed to walk.
And his name was Al Pacino because
fantastic.
I thought he looked kind of like Al Pacino.
Oh yeah.
And
These are good pet names.
He's got the jaw.
Yeah.
You know.
and but originally I was like, I want a pet that's less work. So I kept my bearded dragon until he died. But I got a snake. I got a California king snake.
Oh,
and
lovely.
they're so easy. They're so easy. You feed them
Yeah.
like once a month, and then they'll go through periods like 3 months they just don't want to eat at all.
Yeah.
They're great.
They're great. They're small.
And I thought I got one. Let's get a second snake.
Oh,
But then I learned can't have two California king snakes. They eat each other.
tough.
So I sold them, and instead I picked up like a corn snake.
Yep.
And then I got a couple more corn snakes, and I was like, might as well get a ball python. And I was like, well, if I'm gonna get a ball python, I might as well get a boa constrictor.
Oh my god.
And eventually I had like, I don't know, 16 snakes or something.
You had a snake
16
farm.
snakes?
Yeah, I would have tanks, and then
Tanks of
cinder
snakes?
blocks, and then a plank, and then more tanks. There's a wall of snake tanks in my apartment. And I found out it's really easy to breed them. So I
Interesting.
contacted a couple snake stores. And they're like, "We'll buy them off you," under the table. And then like 6 months later, someone from my apartments came in to do maintenance, and they were like, "You can't do this here. Why did you
breed
think a wall of snakes would be okay?"
Place looks good. Bathroom looks clean. Air conditioner is up to code. Oh, the wall of snakes is new.
Snakes is a problem.
Wall of snakes.
snakes is a problem.
We're gonna have to get rid of this.
And so I sold all the snakes, and I bought a bird.
There we go. A little bit better. What bird did you buy?
I got a cockatiel. And then I got an Amazon parrot. I have a problem with doing just one. I got an Amazon parrot, and then I got a little green parrotlet.
Oh wow.
The Amazon hated me though. It would literally just attack me if I came in the room. So I eventually
I
sold
thought you
that.
meant like the Amazon, like the region.
The
No,
entire
it's an Amazon.
rainforest.
It was a yellow
Quite
naped.
jury.
Go ahead and bring up a yellow naped Amazon parrot.
Oh, wow.
Yellow naped Amazon.
Yeah, that's what he was. A
parrot.
yellow
This is
naped
lovely.
Amazon.
I
They're
love
big. They're
this.
big birds like that big.
Wow.
And
Fun.
he would attack me. Broke the skin a lot of times.
Do you have a tattoo of a bird somewhere?
I know.
To go along with this
Here,
story.
and then I also have an eagle
wow.
across my stomach right here.
Okay, we'll get an eagle
Yeah.
story going.
That's what he looked like.
Oh, it's cute.
Yeah, he was a dick.
Look at that.
Yellow
Oh,
naped Amazon.
you would never know by the face, but I could kind of see it.
Yeah, their bites hurt.
Ow. I mean, that beak is sharp.
Have
Yeah.
you guys seen that guy on Instagram who has a talking parrot that he has been training, and he'll go like, "What's this
Oh,
made
yeah.
of?" And he's
What's
like,
this made of?
"Quack."
Is it Ozzy?
Glass.
Yeah.
Metal. You're just like, metal.
Yes, metal.
No. Glass. Yes.
Is he? Is it all gray with like a little red tail?
Rock.
Dude, I don't know. I just know that he talks like this.
Yeah. And he only knows like maybe 4 or 5 words, but also a bird speaking is still impressive.
But
So-
sometimes they'll be like, "What color is this?" And he'll be like, "Black." And then he's like, "No, what color is this?" Red. And he gives him a little treat. And sometimes it's like the parrot's fucking with him.
Yeah.
The parrot's like, he knows damn well what color this is. And he's just...
Yeah.
He's doing it for suspense. What color is this? Glass. No. And you're like, I'm over here on TikTok, like in my bed, just full double chin, like stupid idiot.
Stupid fucking bird.
That's not a colored glass. And I'm like, I know this bird's fucking with him for a reason. I know he's got me on the edge of my
Birds are
seat.
smart. Some
I'm
birds,
coming back.
Some birds are hella smart.
Some birds are hella smart. Ravens, crazy.
Oh, they're the most.
Incredibly.
You can
intelligent.
you can train wild ravens. You can like give them gifts and they'll start bringing you stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's very wild. There's a
Yeah.
lot of birds that know how to mimic. Like, fun fact: I had a little Instagram story series called Birds Day Thursday that started out of utter boredom in like kind of like the end tail of lockdown. But I'd moved to this apartment.
You're like
In
full
Madison.
lost my mind.
Fully
for
lost my
fucking
mind
2
kind of
years.
thing. I think I had, well, at that time, for some reason, I was making like entire Chemex full of coffee and just drinking it all by myself. Because I was like, well, nobody's share it with, might as well drink this. Which was great when I like got into a rhythm of like cleaning my house or like maybe finishing a song or, you know, whatever. But then I would have moments where I would drink an entire Chemex, do a quick workout and be like, it's Birds Day Thursday. And then all of a sudden it became this thing. And funny enough, it became this thing that people kept asking me like, and then after a while people were like, hey, can you review like, you know, like the blue macaw? And I'm just like, sure. And then after a while, or like, can you do like a segment on the blue macaw? And I was like, I guess. And
Were they
some of it-
animal reviews? Did you have like a 7 out of 10? at the
No, but
end?
I should have. That would have been really funny.
Pigeon's a piece of shit. 1 out of 10.
This pigeon sucks. Pelicans, horrible. No, I'm just kidding. I love pelicans. But
really
no,
bad
I did this
birds.
thing every Thursday. And what's so funny is
Wait,
that
did you
people
do
are
a
like,
thing about the blue macaw?
I think at some point probably. Honestly, I think I did this for almost a year and a half straight.
Wow.
And it just like became this funny thing that I would do every Thursday. Birds Day Thursday. I had a little intro, like there was some meme video of a bird like laughing like that. Like I don't know if you've ever seen it. But I would like do that and like that would be my intro and then I would have a still of it to Herb Alpert song. Whatever that song was. I'd be like, it's time for Birds Day Thursday. And then literally all I did is I would just copy and paste a Wikipedia article, but nobody knew. And what was so funny is people would be like, how do you know so much about birds? And then I would tell them, I'm
Bro,
like,
sometimes you just know.
Sometimes you just know. But it is what was so funny to me is that people got so disappointed when I was just like, I'm just copying and pasting Wikipedia. People would be like, wait, really? And I'm like, yeah, do you think I like actually research this every week? I don't have that kind of time. Like I got to work. Like I got to
But
pay
like,
my bills. I gotta
you
do
kind
things.
of did have that time.
I did have a little bit of that time. I mean, I at least had like an hour where I was copying and pasting segments of Wikipedia and taking out like, the number brackets for the edited sections or whatever.
I feel like this is a great pandemic, like how it started, like we're all in this together.
Yeah.
How it ended, Birds Day
Thursday,
Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah. Well, and then what's funny is that at one point I started like, posting music that I was excited about. Like I started this like electronic side project called Join Missing Out that like I still occasionally keep up with, but I mostly just put it on Spotify and started it up to like put all the random like demos of, like house tunes or like whatever beats just somewhere on Spotify where I was like, I don't want this to sit in my hard drive. Like, let me just put it on Spotify. I don't care if it gets plays. I think right now I have 3 monthly listeners, so I'm killing the game.
That's more than
But-
90% of the world.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. There you go. But I think I posted like one of the songs that I did that I was like actually really excited about. I was like, I'm so excited. Like I'm launching my own solo project. And it was the first solo music that I ever did. And I'd always wanted to do it, just never had time.
Yeah.
Didn't really know what I was going to do. And then I was just like, yeah, screw it. I'm just going to throw some stuff on Spotify and see how it goes. And I did that. And like, there were like 2 or 3 people that when I was like, hey guys, like just released my first single in my solo project. Like, link is in my bio. People who responded going, where's Birds Day Thursday? And I'm like, I'm talking about something that I'm actually really excited about, and you're asking for birds. I'm like, that's fine. That's totally fine. But at the same time, I was
They
like,
gotta know.
They gotta know. They gotta know.
They gotta know.
But at the same time, I was like, if people are really on my page right now to see birds and I'm posting music and they don't care about that, I was like,
Give the people what they want.
Actually, I did the exact opposite, and I took away what they wanted. I said, "No more Birds Day Thursday."
This is no
I'm
longer a bird account.
sorry to everybody who I disappointed.
We
by-
just installed a smart birdhouse in our house.
no way.
Yeah, and
That's
so
amazing.
it's a bird feeder, I guess. The birds
Oh,
land, and
fantastic.
there's a Ring camera installed in it.
Yeah.
And so it tells me on my phone, like, hey, there's a bird eating. If you want to see live, the bird eating.
Oh, that's
Which is cool. My wife wanted it. I was like, this is super cool.
Yeah.
Here's what I didn't know. There's a lot of fucking birds. So I get like 400 notifications a day from this thing.
Your bird is eating. Your bird is eating. Your bird
Yeah,
is eating.
it's constant. And it's never like cool birds. I mean, occasionally
Yeah.
had some cardinals, right?
Oh yeah. of
That's
course.
Half the
Bird.
time I
Love
go on,
cardinals.
it's a squirrel.
that's
And
a
I'm
good
like, get
bird.
out of
You're
there.
like, that's not a bird, you idiot.
Yeah, when it's a squirrel, my wife opens the back door so our dog goes and barks at it,
Oh
scare
yeah,
it away.
fantastic.
It's always the stupid Carolina wrens over and over and
yeah.
over and over.
I'm
Classic.
honestly a lot more interested in a squirrel than a Carolina wren.
well, you don't know much about
interesting.
Carolina wrens,
Like,
do you?
You gotta do some
I'm here
research
for
on
Just
the
ask him. He
wrens.
knows all about birds.
I'm here for the
Oh,
squirrel
no,
content.
Wikipedia knows all about birds. I know how to press copy and paste on my iPhone. That's what I know how to do.
But dude, a cardinal on the bird ring cam is like a good
That is
day.
cool. That's
Honestly,
the
a
best
good
one.
day.
You see a cardinal,
I
you see
do
that
love
bright
that.
red. Woo!
Oh,
It's good
Cardinal
stuff.
or a blue jay outside,
That's good.
that's a day maker right there.
That's good, that's good.
If nothing else goes right
Yeah.
for you,
Yeah.
at least you had that.
There's a lot of
moment.
shit birds out there.
Top
though.
bird
true.
though. Top bird. Hummingbird.
I do love hummingbirds.
They're assholes,
Aren't they
though.
so-
They're mean.
Really?
No, they just. Did you know if they stop spinning their wings, they die?
Like sharks. A lot of
This is not accurate.
They're
A
like
lot of
the,
animals
they're
that I
like the
relate to.
sharks of birds.
the sharks of
We're gonna
birds.
get flagged for misinformation now, Ryan. Jesus.
Hummingbirds, the sharks of birds.
Hummingbirds, 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
Missing 1 point for being assholes.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
What is? yeah.
Real quick, there's a guy on Instagram that I follow. His
This is
his
only
handle
birds
is
now.
Vic is who. He's I think part of the time he's in Nashville, but he just started a series called Places to Stand, and he literally just goes like random places on the street, and he'll just be like, "All right, let's get into it," and then it's just awkward silence of him
He
standing
stands
there
somewhere.
for like 4 or 5 seconds. then like all the audio, the cars going by and everything. And then
People-
he'll be like, okay, this is a pretty solid place to stand. It's a little loud, but it's like, you look pretty cool standing here. So, overall, 7 out of 10.
The ground is soft. That's amazing. That is the thing is people
Wildly against.
online want bits. Like people honestly don't really care about you promoting your music or you promoting your photography or your videography, whatever.
Yeah.
They want bits.
Yeah, they just
Like,
want to
that's truly
see
what
how
it
funny
is.
you are.
That's why all these people on TikTok that I've seen recently who like started out doing comedy and then are like, hey, I also make music, check it out. I'm like, oh my
Like
God.
Petey?
Like Petey. Like love his music too. And like that's what was so crazy is I found him on TikTok. A lot of me and my guy friends were like, this guy's hilarious. Like this type of humor is awesome. And then he started making music and I was like, oh yeah, you're just gonna make music like everybody else. And then I heard some of his songs and I was like, oh, he's good. I was like, okay, this is a good way to go about things.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that can flip the other way too and do the opposite.
can.
Like there's a guy who I watch on YouTube occasionally. And I just watched this video. He used to be on. Do you know Omegle?
Yeah, I remember Omegle.
So it got shut down I don't know, like a year ago or something. I don't
Wow,
know.
it took
fairly
that
recently.
long,
Yeah.
huh? Wow.
But this guy, he would go on and play guitar.
Okay.
And it was always some bit to it. Like he would have a Hello Kitty guitar,
Uh-huh.
and and everyone would laugh, and he'd like shred, or he'd go on and be like, "This is my, I'm just learning. Can I play you a song?" It started with like
Oh, this
Seven
kinda
Nation
thing.
Army, and then
Yeah.
just and the videos they're so good. His name's The Do. He's massive. He's massive YouTube channel. But then every once in a while I watch him with videos, and he'd get on with somebody, and he'd be like, "Can I play you one of my songs that I wrote?" And I'm immediately like, "Skip."
Nope.
I'm like, "That's not what I'm here for. I'm here for the bit."
Yeah, I'm here for the bit. I'm
Like,
here for your
you might be
crazy
the-
covers.
Right,
Yeah.
which is wrong. I don't even think about it.
Right.
I'm just like, this is not what I'm here for. And so it can backfire too.
It can, 100%. I mean, like Birds Say Thursday did when I was like, hey guys, check out my music. And people said, are you going to talk about birds again? And I was like, oh, crap.
Yeah. Now, if you could go back in time, I would say like make your artist project bird themed, or like give
That
the
would be
bird
crazy.
bird names,
Bird
or, like,
noises in the songs.
just
kinda
slightly,
thing.
just
Yeah.
you just slightly theme it so that it's a huge plug. And like,
Yeah,
People
exactly.
are like, this guy's a genius.
He's making bird music.
bird music.
He's sampling bird songs, which is great because you don't have to license those.
That's a
Thank
fact.
God. Yeah.
I have an artist I'm working with right now that legit took a bird sound and turned it into a melody and like wrote a hook around it.
That's very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Those free samples.
Yeah, free
Can't go wrong.
samples
from
We're all
nature.
finding ways to save a couple bucks, you know, or to save trouble of emailing, a label.
Yeah, except for now that you've brought it up, there's gonna be someone out there advocating for the birds.
Oh, yeah,
suing,
these-
suing, being like,
Seriously.
these sounds are the rights of the birds.
They're the rights to the
original
birds. We need to give them their proper royalty splits. And you're like, for what? For
How much does
what?
seed cost?
How much does seed cost? Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
2 notes.
Hey,
bitch.
we're gonna
You
get
can't-
copyright struck now.
You can't.
Oh,
you can't
right.
copyright 2 notes. You need
Can't
more than
copyright
2
two
notes.
notes.
Yeah,
Mm,
that's a fact.
Yeah, that is true.
That's
More than
actually
two
Yeah,
true.
but those songbirds, too many notes.
notes. Interesting.
But not like a super great logic to their notes. Honestly, bad songwriters. 4
Bad
out of 10.
songwriters. 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10.
You know.
Have you seen the guy's Good Name, Bad Name?
That sounds
Like,
very familiar.
I
yeah.
love this guy. He's in some band and he's doing exactly what you're saying, like doing bits, but really he is a musician, but like just does these bits. And so one's Good Name, Bad Name. And he'll just be like, Slipknot, it's a good band name. Pantera, bad band name. Reminds me of this, reminds me of that, bad band name. And
Bad
like
band name.
he'll just go through bands like we've all heard of, and then sometimes they're like kind of random ones, but like Tears for Fears, bad band name. Like, and just kind of,
That's a great band name.
I was going to say, I was
super-
like, wait a minute.
I don't know.
love
I'm
that
like
band.
making them off the top of my head. Like, I
Oh,
don't
okay.
remember his things, but like,
That's just your own
he'll
internal
have
feelings
these
about it.
like super hard opinions about band names and like pretty funny little jabs.
Yeah.
And then his like recurrent thing is he'll just like he'll rip something that everybody loves, like U2. It's a bad band name. Reminds me of this. Stupid. And they go, I don't give a toot. And then it goes to this cutscene of him fucking rocking out like, I don't give a toot,
Like some
flipping off the
insane
camera.
breakdown.
Yeah, some big
Oh,
breakdown.
man.
Anyway, so that had nothing to do with anything. But if you haven't seen those videos,
Bits.
you out there now. Bits.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the way of the internet and
Bits
the
are the
future.
way of the internet. Honestly, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. One day musicians might be able to just be musicians. Unlikely, but it seems
We'll see.
Nah.
that's the dream.
I mean, maybe if you are, one of the nepotism, if you will, yes, you can just be a musician.
One of the
Well, if you are of the nepotism, then potentially you can just be a musician.
Of the net.
There's always got to be something on the side. I mean, to like make it work for you now, unless you're just freakishly good. But then, you're likely going to get canceled at some point.
I mean,
because
hey,
that's just how it goes.
All it takes is one real viral video,
Usually,
know,
sometimes.
and then you're done.
Yeah.
You got it covered.
But the viral videos currently are rarely like, this musician is good and we liked his song.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well,
Look
what
at
about
that. It's usually like
AMH? They
gotta have
got
something
pretty
else.
big off TikTok video. They did. I don't know if you know them, Adam and the Metalhawks, I believe they're called.
Interesting.
did what they do is just play the song and it wasn't crazy in some way. They just played a good song. And,
No, they did a cover of "Sweet Child of Mine," I think. But the guy who sings it, I mean, he sounds just like it. But they didn't use instruments. Like one guy had like a pot on his head, and he was using him as
yeah.
he was using that guy as the drum. So there's a bit to it.
We're saying the same thing here. I don't think it's.
But it was
I
just
think
music.
that's cool. The world wants that and it's fun.
Yeah.
It just sort of sucks that like you kind of have to have a bit to your thing. It has
Yeah.
to be like eye catching in some way beyond just like it's a
Clickbait.
good song.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It has to make people go like, but a pot's not an instrument.
Yeah.
On
They're
his
making
head.
it sound like one. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Never
Yeah.
thought about that.
Yeah, always needs to be a bit. Yeah,
Always has to be a bit. Yeah.
Because otherwise, what else do you stand out? You know, just being generally cool. Like no one cares. There's too many people out there for that.
They
If there was like
used-
12 people,
Yeah.
one guy being like pretty
Like,
cool
pretty
matters.
cool would be sick.
What's
Right.
What's Petey's guy? His cool dude.
Oh, Puff Sullivan?
Puff Sullivan.
Oh,
yeah,
goddamn, he's so cool.
That's a great name.
it's so cool.
Oh, God damn it, Puff Sullivan. I love the Puff Sullivan bits.
If there was 12 people, Puff Sullivan would stand out.
Yeah, 100%. Puff Sullivan would be the just, the
goat.
bell of the ball, if you
Yeah,
will.
the bell of the
Love
ball.
the ball.
Okay, so anyway, back to your music career. Okay, so presently, aside from your personal music, your two main gigs as a keyboardist is Judah and the Lion, which it's still called Judah and the Lion, right? It's
Sure
not
is.
just Judah. That's a
Right.
separate thing, right?
Judah is a separate project. Yes.
But also, that's confusing because I think some people just shortened it to Judah and the Lion to Judah anyway, right?
I mean,
Because
yeah.
it makes sense.
It's like Kentucky Fried Chicken just now going by KFC. It's like the whole like everybody called it KFC. Why don't we just call it this? So honestly,
Yeah.
before I
Wait,
played for Judah, and
Is
the
that
Lion,
real?
It's real. It is now just KFC.
It's
You
not
will-
actually Kentucky Fried Chicken?
It's just
Wow.
KFC. They shortened it. Minimalism is taking over design, and it
That
is
is weird.
tragedy.
I don't know how I feel about that. It makes me kind of uncomfortable.
No,
to
same.
be
Yeah,
honest.
no, absolutely. You're like, wait a minute. This is
What's it
completely
stand
different.
for? Literally nothing.
Literally nothing
It just stands for
anymore.
KFC.
Some people
That's
started
it.
saying it one day. Who knows?
Yeah,
I feel like we didn't need that change.
No,
Like we already
we
called
didn't.
it KFC. Why do we gotta make all their documents a little shorter? I
Well,
guess
I
don't.
think that was the thing. Is they're like, why are we calling ourselves Kentucky Fried Chicken if everybody already just knows us as this? And it's like, oh, well, I mean, I get that, but at the same time, it's like you can have a nickname without it being your
Right.
actual name.
Like, that's
it doesn't have to be
fine.
your whole thing.
That's
yeah,
fine.
exactly. But funny enough, before I started playing for Judah and the Lion, I saw Judah putting out music, and I had thought that he just went solo. And I was like, oh, interesting. He went solo project, and I was like, well, I guess that's kind of like more pop oriented of him to do that. And then I learned that Judah is his side, mostly worship project that he does, and it's fantastic. He's very good. Also has another side project called Pink Laundry that's more of a pop punk project, but hasn't done much with that as of late. But also enjoy listening to those songs as well. But yes, Judah and the Lion is still a band separate from Judah in all caps,
Yeah.
or Pink Laundry. So yeah.
Ironically, one of the Judah music videos was shot here,
Oh no way.
except he wasn't here. They shot, so it was him and Brandon Lake.
Oh, yeah.
They did a music video together at some other space in town, and the director liked. So we put our spaces up on even literally this space you're in. By the way, yeah, plug. If you want to rent this space, we rent it out on Peer Space. You can be here in this seat where my ass was for money.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, but on the other side of this wall, we have a photo studio, and so I have a bunch of vintage stuff. I've got my jukebox, and I've got a TV from the 50s, and a whole bunch of cool little things. So the director thought that like some of that stuff would be dope vibe pieces, and he's like, "Hey, could we rent your jukebox?" And I was like, "Okay, yes." Because they had this other space for it. I was like, yeah, but you have, in order to get it out, you have to take the door off its hinges, and you'd probably need to have like 4 guys in a professional moving truck. So you'd probably need to hire me. And I'm just like, it's so cost prohibitive
I mean,
to
it's
try
a
to,
massive jukebox
for
yeah,
a video,
so.
yeah, for jukebox. So for some of those vibe pieces, just retro stuff, it's like it's just really prohibitive to try to take it somewhere. It's dangerous. You're probably gonna break it. It's fragile. So they filmed the video elsewhere, but then the crew came back here, and then what they did is they played the music video they had shot somewhere else on it's a 1959 Philco Predicta Princess is the TV.
Wow.
Quite the name.
Quite the
TVs
name.
used to be art.
Yeah.
But so they played the video back on it, and that TV has like cool glitching that happens.
Oh yeah.
And so they
you have one of those
filmed,
remotes where you can like do the glitching and stuff too.
No, it's
Those are
it's
fun.
this guy right now. Right there.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It's so old.
Wow.
There's no control of it. It just does it because it's bad at being a TV. So
Hey, it's in stock for $2,000. That's not bad.
yeah,
Just
get
kidding.
one today.
Get one
So,
today.
so they just played the video back on that and then filmed the video being on that TV. And so like periodically through the video, it like cuts to my TV. And I'm really proud because I'm like, that's my TV that
That's
I love.
very sick.
That I
Hell
searched
yeah.
for years
that
to find.
beautiful
Yeah.
TV. Yeah, that's so cool. I'll have to see it
Yeah.
after this because I love mid-century things. Mid-century design is just very cool.
It's
just
the vibe.
feels very intentional.
And
so.
it also feels like reminiscent of home because Southern California went so heavy into mid-century like
Ooh, big time.
architecture.
Yep. Especially like the
everywhere.
when everybody from Hollywood was buying houses in Palm Springs,
Yep.
all like the top of the line designer stuff, and it was all in the 50s, 60s, 70s. So
Yeah.
hence why most of those houses look mid-century. That you
Yeah,
can
it's super
rent out up
cool.
in the hills. I love it. It's very cool.
Which when you go back and look at your childhood, like have you noticed that the Flintstones, like it is the Stone Age, but also it's mid-century design. It's basically Palm Springs.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
It's Palm Springs with dinosaurs.
Yeah. Which is
So Palm Springs.
So Palm Springs. Yeah, exactly.
And they have people that it's like, oh, that's Frank Sinatra with a cheetah suit.
Oh my
on.
God, you're right.
Like, oh, they're in Rock Vegas. That's Las
Rock Vegas,
Vegas.
yep,
Oh,
there
Las
you
Vegas
go.
was big in the 50s. And like, you start realizing like this was just of its time. And then they put dinosaurs in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that works, man. So,
It worked for them. Yeah. I mean, Jetson, same thing, just
Yeah.
completely opposite end of the
yeah, 100%.
timeline spectrum.
Right.
100%.
So-
Even more so, I think. The
Yeah.
Jetsons, yeah.
So-
Hyperfuturism.
So anyway, so Judah and the Lion, but you also play for Matt Kearney or Kearney?
Kearney, actually, yeah.
That's how I think.
He always says Kearney, circus people.
So,
Like that.
okay. So my question is, how do you play for two? Because both of those artists are, tour on a larger scale. But like, how do you play for two at one time? Does that never conflict? Does that always conflict? Like,
It does occasionally. Surprisingly enough, it hasn't conflicted that much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, am I missing a tour for a tour? Like that has maybe happened like one or two times. But usually it's just like a one-off show that I'm missing here and there. But somehow, I think I actually did kind of tell them. I obviously don't know if they took this into account, but when I had the Matt Kearney gig, got the Matt Kearney gig first, and that was like my first invitation kind of back into the touring world after I was like, I'm kind of done touring. I just want to be producing, like that's what I
Yeah.
mostly want to spend my time doing. It's what I love, like my first couple of days that I had in like this new studio that I moved into at the middle of the lockdown pandemic. I was just, every day that I was coming home, I was texting my best friend, Andy, the producer, and I was just like, that I'm having so much fun. Like, this is the best. Like, this is what I've wanted to do for so long. Like, I'm so pumped. This is awesome. So when I got back to the Matt Kearney world, I think, it was kind of like, oh, he's touring again. And I used to play for an artist named Devin Gilfillian. Fantastic artist. Is also on 888 Management, who Matt is also on, as well as Judah and the Lion. So I think
little
once...
family.
888 family, whole fam. So that honestly helps it out a lot, where I basically just say, like, I think at the beginning of, my potential entrance into being a part of Judah and the Lion, I was like, I'm down, but y'all got to organize the schedules because, like, I don't want to have to deal with that. So if you guys can, like, make it work to where I can be available for both, that sounds awesome because then that doubles, my ability to tour and make money and just see the world and just to have a good time. I love touring. It's like it scratches all my itches. I love traveling. I love being in a new place. Love playing live music. Love being on stage. And I also love camping, and it's got like a very like camping-ish feel to it, where like you have a tiny bed on a bus and you have, a suitcase that you live out of, and you're showering in odd venues and like odd places, and like you're in camp chairs outside of the bus hanging out with people after the shows are over. So it's like it's got every element of like, outer life that I like around music, while also being a major, like musical itch scratcher, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
So with that, yeah, honestly, it hasn't conflicted too much. Like even this year, I'm looking at some mat dates that we have coming up, and I'm like, cool. Well, yeah, like our Judah tour ends like right at the beginning of June, and then like I start doing some mat dates like pretty close after that, and then July and August are pretty open, and there's talks of like maybe a couple dates here and there, like one-offs in the summer, maybe a festival or two with Judah and or Matt, and from there it's pretty easy. And I was even talking to our tour manager with Judah, Adam, the other day, and I was like, yeah, like I might be busy in September and November, like potentially. I don't know how much of this I can talk about, but just for context, there is the fall.
Right.
Exactly. I needed that probably 10 seconds ago. Sorry if I spill any beans. But it's been one of those things where it's like I kind of look at the schedule and I'm able to be like, cool, like, hypothetically speaking right now. But it's like, cool, so May is booked with Matt, great. But then Judah has a tour that's coming up in July, or like, May, June is booked with Judah. Yeah. But Matt's doing a trio tour in, for 10 days in July. And it's like, cool. It just, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I will say this last fall, when I was on tour with Judah, we did like a 2.5-week tour supporting Need to Breathe. And in those days, Matt had a trio tour. And of course, I had already said yes to the Judah tour, so I couldn't make the Matt trio tour. So he found a sub for me on that tour. And yeah, so sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's usually really just like 1 or 2 gigs that I'm missing here and there for things. But since I've joined both bands, I've been able to find like subs for, just singular shows.
Yeah.
That like need a sub or something like that. And
Is that like your responsibility to find the sub?
Yeah, typically it can be to like, at least like to initially be like, here are some guys that I trust. And then, that goes to management, which then goes to either artist, which then, either gets approved or denied or whatever. But Judah's a pretty easy one to have subs for. There's a few people, they just have like a bunch of friends in music.
Yeah.
So one of my homies, Brian, he will sub my parts. He also subs for Dylan, our guitar and bass player, as well, when Dylan can't make shows.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's really nice to be able to be like, cool, you're subbing for me on this gig that I can't make because I'm on a tour, And then my buddy Jacob will sub for me for Matt gigs. He's subbed for me before, and Matt likes him. So usually the first time that you get a sub, it's always kind of like a toss-up. Like you're kind of rolling the dice. The first time that Jacob subbed for me was at a festival that Matt was playing while I was on my first tour with Judah and the Lion. And of course, like I'm not going to ditch a Judah and the Lion show to go make a Matt show in the middle of a tour kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I have to be on the road. I have to be on the bus. I'm just going to stay there. It's going to be insane for them not to like fly me out and for them to find a sub for me, all that stuff. So I'm like, I might as well just find a sub for this one gig. But it's always a toss up. But my buddy Jacob was like, yeah, I'm free. I'll do it. And I was texting Matt afterwards and I was like, how do you do? He's like, oh, dude, he was awesome. Great hang too. And I was like, thank God.
Yeah, but not too awesome.
Not too awesome. But not like, not,
to be clear.
Not like the best, right? Like, do I still have a job? No. I mean, that's the cool thing about subs is that like anything, and like I've subbed for gigs as well. And it's just like it's just kind of like a known thing where it's like you're not going to take this gig. Like you're on it because the person who is typically on it, who is very trusted, also trusts you enough to cover for this one-time thing. Yeah. And you're going to do a good job no matter what. But you're also, like I've got my own gig, so I'm not going to take a friend's gig, at all. So, and my buddy Jacob does a bunch of other stuff. My buddy Brian does a bunch of other stuff. So it's like they're both fairly busy. But of course, if there's an opportunity where they're free and I need a sub, I will gladly get a sub. And so it's really nice when that the band trusts the person that is subbing for you, because then you don't really fear having to call them up for whatever reason. Because they're kind of locked in, and the artist knows them, the artist feels comfortable.
That's got to be so hard to like find somebody that jives well with a specific group of people, and like
absolutely,
yeah, like they have to be good at music, mm-hmm. and they have to be like a good hang, but then they have to like be the right hang for that group. So when you're thinking about like who you can bring in, I have that even like with hiring session players. For stuff where you're just like, they're so good. They play for top name people. They could hang with this situation. But will their personalities match?
Right.
I think it could. But what if they like talk way too much?
Yeah. Or say
some
weird shit.
Yeah, say some weird shit.
That makes somebody uncomfortable.
Yeah. Or you're like, I think they're kind of a little more politically liberal, and this group's kind of more centrist. But would they care about that? Would they talk about politics? Would that come up? Just like, I mean, politics isn't the main thing with band situations. It's more other things generally, but there is a lot of, you know, it's not like you could just take any keyboardist in the world that's of a certain talent level and be like, oh, they're a caliber 9? Okay, great. Yeah, just toss them in. It's like they have to feel right. They have to be in the right age range. It has to be like there's so much that has to kind of align.
Exactly.
Which is why, like, probably also, like, you have a lot of job security if you have a gig and it fits and everybody's stoked on it. Like, for you to bring in a sub, they're definitely not going to be like, I guess you played that song a little better last night. Let's switch it up. It's like, no. Like, we've been on a bus with this guy for months at a time, and he's cool, and, like, we don't end and wish that, you know, I never saw him again. It's like you actually wish that he would come back again because it's like, that guy's such a great hang. I miss him.
Yeah, that guy's awesome.
That's what
absolutely.
After a certain threshold of talent, like that, it comes down to like your ability to be cool.
Yeah, and just understand the hang and understand
like
the people
Sullivan.
You're around. Like Puff Sullivan. God damn it, he's the coolest.
He's the coolest.
But yeah, no, that's a very important thing, and I'm super fortunate to have people that like are in my corner where I can be like, hey man, like I have to miss this gig. Like, can you cover for me? And they're like, absolutely, got you. And like, typically they already know the songs, and if they don't, you know, like they got to learn a couple more, but usually they nail it. I usually also let them use my gear as well. So I'm like, hey, like let me write out my presets on, you know, like my Nord and this thing and this thing, depending on the gig, of course. So like if I'm playing a Matt Kearney acoustic trio tour and Judah and the Lion has a one-off show in California somewhere, then I don't use any of my Judah and the Lion keyboards to play for the Matt Kearney trio. I just use, you know, one big piano type thing. So I literally will send Brian off with my gear and just be like, here's the presets for each song. This is what I'm playing on it. You can do whatever you want, but these are the sounds. And that is going to, you know, help you out in general with like
for sure
getting a feel for what you will want to play. And also it just makes it easier. So you don't have to like design your own patches and do all that kind of grunt work and everything.
Yeah.
So
how many keyboards do you have?
Oh, I just counted this. I think it used to be more, but I've sold a lot in order to just, you know, afford some other things in life that I wanted to afford. You know, certain pieces of gear you use for a while and you say, I actually get this from this instead.
Yeah.
I think right now I'm sitting at like somewhere around 9 or 10.
Still a fair amount of keyboards.
It's a decent amount. It is definitely a decent amount. Yes, I just bought a Wurlitzer off my friend, which I've wanted for like 15 years. So that was my most recent addition.
Which one did you get?
200. With the
Dope.
Vintage Vibe preamp and vibrato mod, which is very cool. So you can control the rate and the depth of the vibrato
cool.
tremolo
Oh, that's fun.
in it, which is really fun. So, yeah, that's a whole saga, but very excited to have that.
So if you could only keep one of them,
Oh boy,
yeah.
that you had to use for literally everything,
everything.
you could only have one forever. Last keyboard,
God.
all the rest get burned. What's the one? Whether you own it or not. Maybe it's one you don't own yet. I don't know.
It might be that. I mean, it's so tough because, you know, like with keyboards,
So many
and
different things.
there's
You get
so many different things,
jobs. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you know, my Prophet does one thing. My Mellotron does like a very specific thing. The Wurlitzer is a very specific thing. The Juno's a specific thing. Everything's got like kind of its place.
Yeah. But if
I
you
mean,
had
I
to
think,
choose,
I think for like recording and live and just like a little bit of everything. I mean, like, hate to say it, but like Nord really does it right. You know, like although like, yeah, like if I really wanted to have a synth sound on the Nord, I would definitely be severely missing my Prophet or my Juno or my Mini Log, you know, whatever. But at the same time, you know, if I only had the Prophet and someone was like, yo, load up a piano patch, I'd be like, yeah, I can't do that. I can't do that because jury told me that I could only have one
Just the
keyboard,
one.
and I chose this one for some reason.
That's kind of the sad problem is that like the Nord isn't the coolest at any of the individual things, but it
Right.
does all of the things.
It just does all the
like
things.
pretty good.
Yeah. And I know it so well. Like, I mean, I've been playing Nords
Yeah.
for, you know, years at this point. So it's like I know those sounds. I know how to manipulate the sounds in the way that I want to manipulate it and like, you know, to get it to sound how I want to.
Yeah.
And like, you know, compared to like most other keyboards that have like, you know, electric piano samples, like actual like, you know, like hardware keyboards with like built-in sounds, like the Nord truly is like one of my favorites. And it's just because I know it. It's not what sounds the best. I tried playing through my Nord for Matt Kearney trio stuff for a while, and he was just like, it sounds too compressed. Like, we need more dynamic range with like what you're doing. Like, my old guy used Keyscape. Like, can you do that? And I was just like, I don't I don't like MIDI. I don't like playing MIDI live. It's something that like I usually swear against because I'm like, I love like the feeling of like being able to not look at a screen, not look at a computer while I'm on
Right.
stage. It's like it's something that just like it will like when you were mentioning earlier, like when I pick up my phone, like all of a sudden everything in the world kind of like disappears for a second because I have all these notifications that I got to look at.
Yeah.
Same thing with a computer screen. Even if I'm just looking at like a main stage rig or keyscape or whatever, it takes it all away, and like I kind of like lose my mind a little bit. So
Yeah, it's
I
different.
swear against MIDI completely, but yeah, it would probably have to be the Nord.
Are there additional problems with playing MIDI live other than the screen? Like, for instance, if you were running MIDI cables back and you had a dedicated assistant who did the computer part for you.
Oh, I mean, at that point, it would be great. A part of me also, though, feels like, I don't know, I've described it like this to people before, where I tell people playing a MIDI controller with these massive sounds feels like driving a military-grade tank with a go-kart steering wheel. Like, there's just something about it that feels like, oh, I'm controlling this massive sound with this, like, weak, controller,
I mean, to be fair, we do control our military drones with Xbox controllers.
I mean, there is also that, but even that, I would be like, this is so weird. Like, give me something that like feels right, like in the moment, or just is like right there in front of me that like feels like I'm actually in it with.
What do
the
you
thing that
actually
I'm playing.
take on the road with you? Is it just like Nords, or do you supplement that with synths or anything?
Oh yeah, I usually travel with 4 keyboards at all time. Unless I'm doing like a quick like festival date with Judah, then I'll leave like 1 at home. Sometimes it's usually the Mellotron that stays at home at that point, just because it's so heavy. But yeah, on any gig, flying or busing or van, if we do the van thing, typically I avoid the van thing now with the amount of keyboards that I play because it's a lot of work, not a lot of payoff. But yeah, when I travel with Matt and Judah, with Matt, I play my Nord, and then I have a Korg SV1 that actually, crazy enough, I know I'm about to sound like a hypocrite, but I might swap it out for MIDI because I have been using Keyscape, which is just phenomenal for the trio gigs since Matt suggested it. And those sounds are just so good. And I found a way where I can have my computer far off the other end of the stage, so I don't have to look at it at all. And I found a way to program.
Assistant.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, no. What I did is I programmed the very top notes that I just don't play ever.
Yeah.
For anything to be my patch switchers. So if I press the high C, that's
cool.
like my main patch, and if I press the high B, that's another patch. High B flat, another patch. And I only use like 4 or 5 sounds when we're doing trio stuff. So it's like, hit that quick note, cool, I have a patch, and I don't have to think about it. Like I know where my patches are at. Sometimes I'll like look off stage, behind the curtain, and I'll see the screen, and I'll make sure that like the crunchy wide whirly is loaded up, instead of the piano for whatever song we're doing. But I might switch to MIDI for that. But my Prophet, my Mellotron go pretty much everywhere with me. So those are on with Judah and Matt.
Did you have your Mellotron when I saw you with Vacation Manor?
No, probably not.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I think with them, I was only playing like a Juno DS, which is like a cheaper like Roland synth. But on like their first EP, I tracked a few sounds with that. So I'm just like, I'm just going to stick with this. I know it.
It's like I feel like I knew you had a Mellotron, but also
Yeah.
Zach did some keys stuff with you recently that I'm mixing for him, but I don't think there's Mellotron on that. Maybe he just told me you have a Mellotron.
That
but
is
you
true, I do,
have
yeah.
you don't have a Mellotron from the 60s, right? You have like
No.
the modern Mellotron that
The
has
digital
all the,
one,
the
yeah.
dope sounds on
Mhm.
it. Yeah.
So the brand new one that Marcus Resch from Sweden made and designed himself. It's a crazy backstory. I don't know the exact details of it.
So
but
what do you get out of that? Like, because obviously the original Mellotron, I mean, almost everybody listening to this show will probably not know what that is, but it's a
Right.
keyboard instrument that plays back tape loops of instruments, and so
Yes.
you can play these tape loops. Really, really cool. Probably most popular sound I can think of off of that would be like Beatles' Strawberry Fields, the flute sound.
Yep.
But okay, super cool, but also like no one would ever travel with that instrument, I feel like.
Not the one from the 60s, at least. Unless you are like Paul McCartney or,
Then
if
you
you
have
were
anything.
traveling in a band in the 70s and you had to bring that for your sound because you didn't want to bring a string section, which is
Yeah.
why those instruments were made.
Right,
It's like
yeah,
they made the Mellotron because they were like, okay, hiring 14 to 16 people to play strings on this album is a lot of money. What if we just had an instrument that like kind of sounded like that? So that's why they invented the Mellotron, was instead of like a string section, a flute section, or a choir, if you wanted to bring it on the road, or if you just were like, yeah, this works, nobody's going to be able to tell the difference. Like people thought with the original synthesizers, like, doesn't it sound just like a trumpet? And now we listen to it and we're like, no, because I can get a more realistic sounding trumpet from the stock sounds and Logic. But
Yeah.
It's an early example of computers taking people's jobs.
honestly, yeah, a very early example of that. I mean, granted, you get nowhere near the same sound as you would with like a full orchestra, but like for certain things, it works. You know, like if you're just in a rock band and you need like a big, like just full sounding string chord pad that's underneath you, then like, yeah, sure. Play it on a Mellotron. Don't have to bring in a string section for that if it's just like really basic and simple. But yeah.
So how does the modern digital Mellotron at that point, like, why is it not just like any keyboard playing Mellotron samples? Like, what are the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So this guy Marcus, he like went around to every Mellotron and Chamberlain instrument, which was, you know, the Mellotron competitor. You know, did pretty much the same thing that Mellotron did.
I never heard of them.
Yeah. So Chamberlain, like, you know, made string sample keyboards and stuff like that, all that other stuff. So he
cool.
went around and got samples for all of these and recorded like the most high quality audio samples that you could get from these instruments, and then designed, you know, the actual hardware to look as realistic to the old M400 Mellotron as possible, and renamed it the M4000D, D for digital, because it's all digital samples. But it's like, it's I think like 24 by 48 samples in there, so it's like fully uncompressed files. So it's like, it's a lot of files and sounds, you know, and it's like, even the Mellotron itself, I don't know exactly how many samples are on just the actual hardware Mellotron, but it's not a lot. But he designs sound cards, you know, like old school sound cards like you would put into your Juno or your DX7 or like other synthesizers that didn't have enough memory. But because these are such massive uncompressed files, you need, even, you know, in today's digital age of information, you need, you know, something outside of it in order to, you know, expand. You know, they're just expansion cards basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just sampled like pretty much every instrument, from like, you know, the general strings and flutes and choir patch that you heard on the M400 to like, you know, accordion samples on a Chamberlain to like, you know, newer Mellotrons or whatever. You know, they kind of became like a home instrument, like a home organ kind of, with like drum machines and like little loops that you could play along to. So like how some of those Lowry organs or whatever have like, you know, little drum loops, and you press, you know, a note in the bass register and it has like a little like bass line with like, you know, percussion loop behind it, and you can just play a little solo around it, and it sounds like a big song at that point, you know. Mellotron started doing that to compete with it, so he's sampled those and put them on expansion cards.
That's dope.
So the sounds itself are, they're fantastic.
Does it also play different than like another MIDI keyboard? Like, is the way the keys weighted different? I've never played a real Mellotron or a fake Mellotron.
I've only played a real Mellotron that's not plugged in. I think I was just like, you know, touring some studio that I had some friends working out of or something at the time, and they were like, "That's Mellotron." I was like, "Oh, I know," and I like went up and touched it, and I was like, "Cool." But the key feel on this digital Mellotron that I have this big one. He makes 3 different models. One is like the micro, that's like a, you know, small MIDI controller size. And then he makes the MIDI that's about, or not the MIDI, the Mini, in keyboard land in my head. He makes the Mellotron Mini that's like about the same size as, you know, like a Prophet synth or whatever. And then he makes just the M4000D, the big one. And if you've seen like a real Mellotron, like, you know how wide those bodies are on the Mellotron. And obviously that's for all like the different pieces of tape to roll around it and stuff. So you have to keep it wide. But the one that he created, you know, is also a very wide bodied Mellotron. So I bought that one because I wanted to use it kind of as its own keyboard stand. Like, I loved the idea of traveling with a keyboard that has like Wurlitzer, like mid-century looking attached legs.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that ride in the case, which is awesome. And then you just put a keyboard on top of that, and you save room in your pack from having to use another keyboard stand. And it looks awesome. You know, the silver legs look really cool.
Yeah.
So I got the big one. And in the big one, it actually has like weighted keys with like long strips of wood, like an actual kind of piano would feel.
Oh,
so the key feel is awesome. It's very, very good. It's amazing. Like, every like little detail that he went into with the sample is awesome. I mean, like, you know, you hold down the notes and at some point it runs out, just like the tape would on a Mellotron, you know, because when they made the first Mellotron, each note had a strip of tape that would play that singular note, and they would just basically run that through a tape machine that was then projected out of a speaker. But, you know, you can't make the tape last forever because it just kind of like pulls it through this thing, and then at some point it hits the bottom.
Oh, so it wasn't a tape loop?
No, it was just like one tape that like lasted as long as they think anybody would need, but then at some point it stops. So his recreation of that does the same thing. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's very, very
So
cool.
when you press the note again, does it just come back from the bottom to the top?
Yeah,
and just
so
kind of
if
cycle
you-
back and forth.
It's interesting. So it's spring loaded, I'm pretty sure, like on the actual original Mellotrons. So if you press a note and then you let go, like that spring like kind of throws it back up into place at the
weird.
beginning of the tape, so that you can play the note again as fast as you need to, kind of thing. It's super interesting. So he designed the digital recreation of that to basically match exactly how each Mellotron model would play. And on the LED screen that you have, each sound that you cycle through, it has a photo, like a little digital photo of like the Chamberlain or Mellotron instrument, and it'll tell you like Mellotron Mark 1, Mellotron Mark 2, like, Mark 4, like whatever, and it gives you like what it looked like and, all of that. So, some marimba sounds on that sound a little bit more high fidelity because it was a later model of Chamberlain or Mellotron instruments, and then some sound a little bit lower fidelity, and you've got a tone knob so you can make it sound lower, higher fidelity, like if you want it to. Sometimes you use the high fidelity sound, sometimes you use the low one. It just depends on, what it is that you want out of it. So,
Man, I would love to have a Mellotron someday. Like, I feel like that's like a bucket list kind of instrument to have, but like it's got to be so expensive to maintain, and so like completely impractical, but just really fun.
yeah, very fun. I mean, the old ones have, kind of become obsolete unless you have a guy in there that knows how to maintain them. But it's pretty rare, to have a studio owner or somebody that like knows all the technicality of that just like kind of strange instrument, Makes sense when people, know how to repair B3s or Wurlitzers or Rhodes or other synths, because it's like, cool, there's a lot of these around and everybody uses them still, but not everybody uses, like a real Mellotron on their album because there's a lot of good sample recreations of them nowadays.
And it's got to be one of the most impractical keyboards possible.
Very impractical, yeah. I mean, so much fun. Like, just such a cool, like, vibey, quirky thing, but very, very impractical.
Yeah. I appreciate you letting us talk that long about one
About
keyboard.
Mellotrons.
I mean, I do the same shit, just not with keyboards. But,
yeah.
but I was
Birds.
thinking, this
Birds.
was running through my head for a while there.
Yeah. Like a tape loop?
Yeah, like a
On the
tape,
tape
loop.
loop, wow.
Was
Full
we don't
circle, like a
use
tape loop.
Tron as a suffix for tech anymore. For a while there was like Jumbotron, Megatron,
Yeah.
Mellotron.
Mellotron, yeah. Jumbotron, did I say that? The movie Tron.
The movie Tron.
I
Like
think
that was a
Tron
thing
is-
for a long time. Like
Yeah.
that was like tech. It was a
Tron.
Tron. Something
Yeah.
a Tron.
Blankatron. Oh,
Probably
yeah.
movie Tron.
We've just lost that.
Probably the movie Tron is what ended that.
Or started it. I don't know. No, I guess we ended.
Might
Yeah.
have been ended.
Yeah. But then we went to E.
Oh yeah.
E
Yeah.
something. Now it's just
And then
I.
Apple tried with I, but it was
Yeah.
never went past Apple.
Right, yeah. It's
Yeah.
only Apple products that use I.
Right.
Wesley
But-
is offended because he works at Apple. The
Yeah.
the iPhone is the most
What?
popular phone?
It is not.
Question mark?
It is not. Yeah, even Wesley's like, it's absolutely not.
No.
No.
Interesting.
it's
People
the
are
one
still
that
on
most
In the
people-
Not-
U.S., it's largely the most common and popular. I think it's like 65% of the population in the
Against-
U.S. has an iPhone.
It's
But
lower than that now, but that's
everywhere else
single
in
model.
in the world, it's Android is master race.
Can we talk about how can we talk about how Android is not one phone though?
Yeah, it's an operating system.
Yeah.
So is iOS.
So yeah, but
So you're talking about the iPhone compared
iPhone.
to. So you want to compare the current version of iPhone, current model. Well, I don't even know what we're on.
No, I don't want to compare
17,
models because you're just going to be
17,
like,
versus
yeah.
but we have
the
4 more
Android
megapixels.
S22
no,
or whatever.
I just
whatever
want to
they're
say there are more iPhones than most other kinds of like individual specific phones.
No, I'm saying
because in the Android
do
world,
you mean
it's like,
iPhone versus Samsung phones, or do you mean like the iPhone 15 versus Samsung 22?
No, I don't really want to get into.
That's what I'm saying.
The iPhone
I'm just saying you're
combo.
trying to do the minutia.
I'm just
you're trying to defend your subpar
I'm not
tech.
trying to defend anything other than to say, when you say Android, so Wesley's statistic there, 65% of people on iPhones, the rest would be Android. Mm-hmm. Android is not
There's
one
others as
phone.
well.
The iPhone is one phone from
iPhone is
one
one phone,
company.
yeah.
That's part of the that's part of the problem.
Incredibly rich company that controls everything.
Yep.
Yeah,
All
of this
the
is
other
problem.
phones are like Sam's Android phone 4.0 Tron.
Tron. Oh,
You know?
No Tron, no
bringing
Tron.
out Tron.
Yeah.
again.
Not as far as I know. They should have one. The Phonotron.
A Phonotron.
Phonotron.
Yeah, bring that
Collotron.
back.
Okay, we narrowly avoided comparing iPhone specs. Let's music.
Thank God.
Anything else? Anything else?
I don't know anything about iPhone specs.
Is Matt Kearney tall in person? Go anything.
Go, please change the subject.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's so funny. No more iPhone specs, please.
Yeah, please, for the love
I don't
of
know
God.
anything about that.
No, we just got a bunch of weird Apple people here.
Well, maybe it'd be a good time to play one more track,
It is about that time.
and then we'll finish this piece off. But we do have.
Sure.
We'll talk for a little bit more after the track, and then we have a very important question. But
Oh, phenomenal.
what? I didn't seed you for this at all. If I was gonna play a song, should we play a Carson Cody solo track?
I mean, we could. It might put you to sleep, you know. I mean, most of the music that I make solo project is like supposed to be like very meditative and like calming and stuff. You
Okay.
know?
It's up to you,
So,
whatever you want to play.
If you want,
Yeah.
you can. We can
Or,
also
like-
play another crying contest song.
Yeah, just like anything you're proud of.
Cool. Well, shoot. I might have to think about this for a second.
Yeah.
You're
Or
like, shit,
something
is
you're
there
not proud
any
of.
music
Something
I'm
that
proud
I'm
of?
Or
Is there
something
any
that you
music that I'm
absolutely
proud of? Oh my God.
It's fine too.
I might actually hate everything I've ever made. What do you know? Let me think here. What's exciting? Well, I do have this other electronic project called Joy and Missing Out that I love kind of coming back to. It's kind of like my hard drive dump. You know, it's like the Instagram photo dump of music for me, basically, where I'm just like, I haven't done anything with this for a while, so
That's a cool name.
let's toss it out there. Yeah, it started out as like a way for me to like almost have an excuse to not go out with people, you know? Like, hey, do you want to come out? And I would be like, no, I'm actually going to make music for myself right now. Thank you. And I'm finding joy in, doing this and missing out.
I don't need friends, they disappoint me. I don't need friends, they disappoint me.
Yeah.
And we're back.
Thank you.
Oh, there we
Okay.
go.
There you go.
Feel right back.
Now we're really
Where were
back.
we at? I think
we are
we're,
so back.
I think we were on sharks.
Still, we're back there. Back to sharks.
You know, I have
let's
a
go.
megalodon tooth.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
Actually, back to sharks. Amazing.
If you're gonna bring up sharks.
I mean, you might as well. Might as well talk about that.
You know, my
megalodon too.
aunt, my great aunt used to go to rock shows and collect rocks.
Oh, not like rock band shows.
No.
Like conventions
rock
for
conventions.
stones, yeah.
Like geology conventions.
Wow.
And when I was a kid, she brought me back a megalodon tooth. Wrong bank.
What the?
Wrong bank.
I mean, that's.
There it is.
There we go.
There it is.
Oh, that second one was
gave
kind
me
of.
the-
Yeah, that was kind of. What the hell? Yeah, I was kind of thinking that. I was like, megalodon tooth. What the hell?
But yeah, no, it's cool. It's a big fossil. It's like that big. You know?
Yeah,
It's a shark's
insane.
tooth. I've
Yeah.
had it for like 30 years. There you go.
Hell yeah.
For that. Do you guys remember Do you remember the movie Deep Blue Sea starring LL Cool J?
Yeah.
No, I do not.
do.
Wow.
No?
But I might have to go home and watch this
Yeah,
now.
in the end credits after they destroy the shark. Spoiler.
Spoilers.
Of course, LL Cool J destroys a shark. in
100%.
a movie.
So at the end, they play his song that was like, back in those days, there was a lot of movies that like had a big song that also released at the same time, and it was like themed the same as the song. You know, it's like written for the movie,
Pretty much,
but
yeah.
also they tried to like make it its own song. And I can't remember almost anything about the song except for it said something about like, my hat is like a shark's tooth. like he says that over and over. That's the hook.
That's the hook. is
Yeah.
My head is like a shark's tooth? Or
I
my
think
hat?
it's hat or bill. Maybe it is head. Something
that's
pointy. The
crazy.
bill of my hat is like a shark's tooth. Wesley, can you look up those lyrics? Oh, look at
Oh,
El Cool
Jesus.
J.
Wow.
Look at that.
Looks
Deep Blue Sea,
fantastic.
baby.
I mean, yeah.
he's the chef
Deepest
of the show.
Bluest is the song, apparently.
You know for a
Really?
fact that director was like, okay, Deep Blue Sea, so I'm thinking a lot of blues. it
It
might
just
be
makes sense.
crazy.
Genius.
Genius. Oh, hire him for everything.
Wesley, look up what's the lyric that says my something is like a shark's tooth. What is like a
What is like a
What
shark's
about
tooth?
LL Cool J?
Mr.
Is like a
Ladies Love
shark
Cool
tooth.
J, please tell us.
Okay,
What
I'm-
is like a
I'm
shark's
Is
tooth?
that what the
Fairly
LL is
LL
for?
stands for Ladies Love. Isn't that crazy?
Is it
Dang.
really?
I learned that when I was like 13, and that just is locked into my brain forever
Wow.
now.
That's just rent free.
That
I'm gonna start
malleable
going as
child's
LL
mind.
Ryan Poole.
Honestly, yeah, why not? Ladies love Ryan Poole.
Man, I'm fairly certain this episode is going to end up being called Thursday Birthday.
Thursday, Thursday.
Birthday
Oh,
Thursday.
yeah.
But
I
at
was
this
thinking-
point, I kind of want it to be called Sharks.
Yeah, just shark with exclamation point. I was thinking all about sharks,
All about sharks.
but
All
sharks
about
exclamation point was pretty great too.
I wish I knew more about
Oh,
sharks.
I feel like
Might
I
be
could remember
misleading.
You
this.
actually brought
Oh, yeah.
lyrics.
Oh, there we go.
My hat is like a shark's fin. I told you guys.
Shark's
Oh,
fin.
not tooth. There we go. My hat is like a shark's fin.
Interesting. Well, it's crazy because it looked like he was wearing a do-rag in that one screenshot we just saw. So
True,
was he even
yeah.
wearing a hat?
Whereas I feel like it comes up a lot, but I'm only seeing it there at the top right now. But maybe this.
Maybe this
Most-
repeats. Maybe.
I kind of want to like
Yeah.
read this rap.
Where's the most memorable
Please,
bar?
please don't try to rap
Man-made
it.
terror, hungry
I don't know if I can handle
jaws of death. Y'all don't cross my depths. I'll pause your breath. I'll cause you to sink down for 1,000 leagues. Bleeding to death with no arms and it's covered up by the time, so I can't see. My world's deep blue. There's the title of the movie.
Oh, he put it
Killers
in
gotta eat too, looking for human flesh to rip my teeth through.
Whoa.
Other
Okay.
fish in the sea, but barracudas ain't equal to a half-human predator created by a needle. Jet black eyes, baby, they stare while you sleep. Man, they really don't get to the part about his hat being like a shark's tooth enough.
I don't think
in
he
my
talks about his
opinion.
hat enough.
Yeah,
you know?
it's-
But he did say the movie title in that. So
And he opens the song that way. So.
yeah,
Honestly,
Fair.
probably the proudest moment of his career.
some bars in there.
There's like 4 more verses of that song.
That's insane. Well, yeah, because they
like
had
a
to do that
13-minute
like
ballad.
the first, like third of the end credits probably. So they got to make it long as hell.
And like, props to rappers. If you're talking 2, 3, 4 times as fast as a normal person just talks in conversation, that means you have to have 2, 3, 4 times the amount of words to say.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's how
You
you
gotta
get to
make
the
'em
good
rhyme.
lyrics, like my hat's like a shark's fin.
My hat's like a shark's fin. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Crazy.
Which
Yeah, I
you
mean,
are
that's
wearing
how
a
it is.
deep blue hat today.
I'm wearing a deep blue hat. Yes,
Oh
very,
my
very
God.
royal blue.
And the
eBay
sh-
find.
the shape
Just like a
that's on
shark's
it.
fin.
The shape that's on it is not unlike a shark's
It's
fin.
not actually. No, it definitely. Yeah, it does kind of look like a shark's fin. Maybe this episode really is all about sharks.
That's
All
what
about
I'm
sharks.
saying.
All
Yeah.
about sharks.
So you never can predict where it might go.
Sharks.
Yeah.
Is that what you were thinking when you came up with that?
100%. Yeah.
As a song of a prior guest. Can't use that. Called All About
Licensing
You, not All
problems.
About Sharks.
All about sharks.
Maybe it's just sharks! Exclamation point.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sharks.
other than sharks, what are your other interests? No, like,
What are you?
when you
Yeah,
go back
you're
on
weirdly
the road,
into sharks, I guess. I
I'm
don't
weirdly
know.
into sharks. Yeah, honestly, I don't think much about sharks. Maybe during Shark Week, but yeah. When do I go back on the road? We start our second leg of the Jude on the Line Need to Breathe tour April 25th.
nice.
So we got about another 4.5
And
weeks or
this
so
is
of that.
the Caves tour,
The
right?
Caves tour.
Does it
correct, yeah.
have something to do with caves? Is their album called Caves?
Their album is called
Are you
Caves, I think,
playing
yeah.
at the Mammoth Caves?
I really wish that would have been so cool, but no, we are not.
Ideal.
They should have done that. Honestly, I'm surprised that they didn't.
There's got to be more than one cave-based
Honest-
venue, right?
So, yeah, I would think so.
Have you gone to the caves?
I haven't yet. I've been dying to. There's
Yeah.
been a lot of artists that I've wanted to see there, but I've been out.
I saw Jimmy Eat World and Death Cab for Cutie. Or sorry, not Death Cab for Cutie. Dashboard Confessional.
Oh yeah,
But I
Same
saw
band,
the two
right?
together. Yeah, similar. They
Similar.
start with
Similar
D's.
vibes. Yeah, start with these.
They both love sharks. So I saw the two of them at the caves. So fun, so cool. I will say the sound was not epic there
Is that
Yeah.
because it was in a cave?
because it was in a cave.
Yeah.
And just also like, yeah, probably how they had it set up and what system, things like that. Dashboard sounded a lot better than Jimmy Eat World
Interesting.
because Dashboard, lots of acoustic instruments and like more
Yeah.
open arrangements. Jimmy Eat World, a lot of distorted guitars.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like that venue probably supports more organic sounding music.
Right.
better.
That makes so much sense. I mean, like when
Yeah.
you're playing acoustic instruments, you're gonna want some like cool, unique natural reverb. Like it's like it just
Yeah.
feels better, and it's just also easier to control because of how soft the instruments are.
Right.
I have a lot of
I
people
just
that-
don't think it's a rock band.
Right. I
place.
mean, that's kind of how I feel about the Ryman too. It's I've seen a ton of pop shows at the Ryman. Like I've played a couple shows there, and I'm just like everybody that I talk to, especially sound guys, are like, hate the Ryman. Sound is not good in there, and I'm like, yeah, but you need to go see like a folk artist there. You need to go see like Gregory Onizikov, or like you need to go see like, I just saw Nickel Creek at the Ryman with my sister. It's
Oh,
like
that'd
one
be
of our favorite
so
bands.
good.
It was phenomenal, and the sound was great because it's like 3 acoustic instruments, and it's like that is the perfect setting for that.
Yes.
Is somewhere with like a bunch of reflection and like cool.
Were you
woody
there for the
reverb.
War on Drugs?
No, I wasn't.
The War on Drugs
That
was a
probably
good
was
show. I
pretty
mean,
sick.
now that was my first time seeing the War on Drugs.
Oh wow, yeah.
So I guess I don't know what they sound like in other venues, but it was plenty great. They were just so distracting with the lights and amount of people on stage and vibey songs that
I'm surprised they only did the Ryman. I thought they would be playing somewhere way bigger. But
yeah, they did the Ryman, and then I saw them again like a month or two later at Bonnaroo.
oh, okay, word.
But
yeah, oh, that's
yeah,
probably so
both
awesome.
super
Yeah.
just rad shows. They're a lot of fun.
I saw them at Marathon Music Works, I think in 2018.
Oh,
And
cool.
everybody in town knows that room is just a boom fest with just how
Yeah.
much concrete and just massive spaces in there. But I was also like maybe 4 or 5 people back from front row. So my ears were damaged for probably like 3 days after that show. Was it worth it? Absolutely. That show was awesome. But it was, the sound was definitely tough. And I think that's why I was like, I'm just going to stay here. Because even if I go to front of house,
Yeah.
it's going to be pretty washy.
What is like a good sounding room in Nashville? Like I think you make Ryman's probably great on
Yeah.
acoustic.
Definitely is made for like that kind
Instrumentation,
of
yeah.
acoustic instruments.
Yeah.
It's hard to say because I've had some people that have been like, this room sounds awesome. Like, oh, cool. Who did you tour with there? Or who did you see there? And
Yeah.
it's like, I saw this girl with a guitar. And it's like, well, okay.
Is that even enough information?
fantastic. Yeah, exactly. That's really tough to say because there's not been a lot of shows that I've either seen or played in Nashville. Funny enough, it being Music City and everything, where I've been like, this sound is awesome. But I also
Yeah.
tend to go to more either like heavier rock shows or pop shows or
Yeah.
like small DIY type of things. And it's
Yeah.
like, it also is very dependent on the sound guy. And, if I am going to shows in town, it's typically seeing my friends who are playing in town when I am also in town, when I have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think Brooklyn Bowl has great sound.
Oh yeah,
I think
Brooklyn
that might
Bowl.
be one of the better venues in town in terms of sound. It's controlled, It was like it's kind of a chain at this point, so it's like they know how to dial in a room to make it ideal for a live performance.
We went and saw St. Lucia there.
Oh,
and it was
fantastic! Love them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super fun show. Crap. Actually, I don't think St. Lucia literally sounded as good the night I saw them at Brooklyn Bowl on a sonic perspective as they did when I saw them at Wesley. What's the place in North Park where you used to live? Like across the street from your house, basically.
Is that the observatory?
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Oh, yeah.
observatory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
North Park Observatory is awesome.
Nice. Have you played there?
No, I haven't. I would love to. I played the Santa Ana Observatory because that's close to my hometown.
Okay, nice.
Love that spot too. I mean, just
Yeah.
fond memories. Of
The
observatories.
observatory, St. Lucia sounded better at the observatory than they did at
Interesting,
Brooklyn
yeah.
Bowl.
I think some venues, especially regionally,
California venues.
frankly,
Bringing
California
it back
venues,
to the
yeah.
start of the show.
Honestly, yeah.
Like
no,
low key.
yeah, I really do
I'm
think a lot
joking,
of
but
regional
I'm not
venues-
joking. There were so many good venues in San Diego sound wise.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, even like Belly Up. I
Yeah.
love Belly Up. Even like House of Blues San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
The last San Diego show I did with Matt was like an outdoor show, so it's like it's hard to screw up an
Oh,
outdoor
fun.
show.
Do you know where it was?
Humphreys?
Humphreys,
by the
yeah.
Bay?
Humphreys by the Bay,
which is very,
yeah.
very fun. That
I've
was a fun
never
show.
been, heard of it, always heard of, like, it sounds so cool to go.
Yeah,
Because
it
you
was
can,
awesome.
like, I think you can go watch it from a boat.
You can.
Well, yeah, it's right on the
You're like
water.
right on the harbor. It's pretty
that's
pretty
the
wild.
dream.
Yeah, it was very fun. It did feel kind of weird because it's kind of like attached to a hotel, so you're kind of like, okay, I'm playing to a hotel, kind of.
And the
but-
ocean.
And the ocean.
And
A
literally
hotel
all the fish
and
in the
ocean.
sea and
all the fish in the sea.
All the
And
sharks.
all the
And
sharks.
all the
in
sharks.
ocean. If there were
Exactly.
any. Yeah. Hopefully there were. You know, would love for a shark to like what I do. That would be very fun.
Oh yeah, there it is. That's what it looks like.
Oh my god. There he is. Humphreys.
Now we are coming up pretty close to our time here, but there is one question that we ask every guest.
Okay.
If you had to choose,
And you do.
and you do.
Oh my god.
Now, the important thing to note about this question is the answer must not come from here.
And if you can't see, he's pointing to his head. I'm just
Yes.
speaking to the people who only listen to the audio and didn't know that we
Of
are
course. Yes.
available on video on YouTube, Spotify,
Sure.
and probably some like illegal streams around the world that we don't know about.
Of course.
Yeah. Your answer must come
From the heart.
from here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Deep within the soul.
Yeah. Pointing to the chest.
If you had to choose,
And you do.
and you do. Okay, now what that actually means coming from your heart and not your head
Yeah.
is I need an answer quickly.
Okay.
I don't want you to think about it.
Oh, great. Okay.
I want the answer that's already in the depths of your soul.
The one you already know.
Oof, chronic overthinker. Let's give this a shot.
Yeah.
If you had to choose.
And
And you
you do.
And you do.
And you do.
What would you say is your favorite kind of turtle?
It's gotta be. God, I forget the name. It's these. I think it's like a leatherback turtle. I think that's what they're called.
Leatherback turtle.
We have registered the
I
response.
think.
I think that's what it's called.
Here's the thing. Honestly, in terms of do I like sharks or turtles more? It's turtles. It's 100%. They were my favorite animal as a kid. Actually, I recently just got back from the Caribbean, and yes, those are them. Aren't they crazy looking?
Those are. They're like sea
they're
turtles,
wild.
but
very
like
big.
with a
They're
different
massive.
style.
They are massive. Yeah, it's like a different model of sea turtle almost. You know, it's
Yeah.
it's a sport utility.
So
model.
this is the is this the Caribbean here?
Definitely not. Maybe. No, I think they're more like Galapagos existing. I could be totally wrong.
Galapagos
though.
got a couple of good turtle things going
They
on.
got a lot of
they got
turtle
those
things
big
going on.
tortoises too,
Mhm. Oh,
which
crazy,
are
yeah.
turtles. Do you know
They are.
tortoises are turtles? My whole
guess
life,
so, yeah.
I always said those are different things.
Do you know how
We
many
looked it up, they're not.
episodes of this show somebody said tortoise and he shamed them
And we're
for
like,
them?
not a turtle.
Oh,
That's not a turtle.
You got a
All
lot
to
of
find out
apologies
it's
to
a
make.
turtle.
And then one guy, someone was like, they are,
No,
and we
I'm
looked it
pretty
up.
sure
Yeah,
it
they're
is.
also a
Yeah.
type of turtle.
No,
It's like
leatherbacks
when-
are so cool.
That is
It's like
awesome.
when Billy Madison called up. Did you watch Billy Madison?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like when Billy Madison called back up all the people he ever hurt in school.
Oh, yeah.
And that one guy's like wearing lipstick and like loading up his gun and just ready to kill him and just takes him off his hit list. Like
thank you so
that's
much.
what you need to do to every band who's ever been on this show.
I think so.
I will say, I don't think we've ever gotten leatherback as an answer before, have we?
Interesting. I'm a big turtle fan.
Except honestly, maybe very recently.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't recall that.
Who else is a leatherback fan? I
Maybe
should
right?
be friends with
I'm
them.
Gotta
gonna have
connect.
to relick,
Gotta
but
connect.
I think that actually Kent Blasey.
Okay. Very
He's a
nice.
songwriter.
Yeah, he was super cool.
Very nice. We got to talk
Super
about
cool
turtles.
dude. You should connect.
Connect on
on turtles.
our turtle
Leatherbacks.
love on the love
Yeah.
for leatherbacks.
We should actually connect all
Start
the guests who
pairing
had
people up.
similar
That would be-
answers. Yeah.
You know, it
That's
could work
amazing.
because like we've gotten a few ninja as an answer. You know.
Oh, that's funny. That's
Solid,
a good
right?
answer.
And I feel like,
that a
everyone
lot,
who
yeah.
answers ninja would probably like they'd hang out.
They
They
kind of
would
should have a
hang
hang.
out,
Yeah.
All right.
We're like the hinge of musician-focused turtles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For musicians
absolutely.
who have a weird interest in specific types of turtles.
Or turtle-focused musicians.
Ooh,
Yeah.
we got an app for you.
Oh boy, crazy.
It's more like musicians who were tricked to come onto a show where they had to pick a turtle. Like, we're
So
gonna pair.
it's a support group.
This
is
We're
what
gonna
you're
pair them
saying.
together. You're like, dude, when that Jaws theme kicked on, like, were you ready for that?
No, not a chance.
What was going through your
I thought it
head?
was going to be more sharks, but I love turtles. I'm all about it. I did just recently swim with a sea turtle in the Caribbean, which was a very good experience.
It's like
the best,
life-changing.
isn't it?
It is life changing. Yeah, the first time I ever did was when I was 9. My family took a lot of like diving trips. When I was a kid, which was very nice. So like, and I'm a big swimmer. Like obviously, surfed growing up.
I grew up on the ocean.
But also loved animals and of course loved sea life. So what's more
It's all
fun
the
than like
things
being able to
together.
dive and like use my swimming ability to go look at the sea life closer. So the first time I ever dove down to see a turtle, it was massive and I was 9. But I actually was able to like hang on to the like grooves in its shell with my fingertips, and it would carry me, which was awesome.
Don't
you
pull
can
that
just,
in
like,
Hawaii.
You can just ride up. No, you can't do it
They
in
will
Hawaii.
put you in prison
I've
for
done
a
that
sure
in
will.
Hawaii.
You've done that.
100%.
Don't
You did
admit
that
that
in Hawaii?
shit.
That's
I'll
illegal.
admit it. So it came up to me and bumped me in the back, and
Wow.
it wouldn't leave. And
I didn't know
so
what that one
grabbed
was gonna
onto
do.
its shell, and it would give me a ride, and then I'd let go, and it'd come back to me and bump me again, and so I just kept riding this turtle.
I liked you. Yeah. They can be pretty chill. They can also, fun fact, a sea turtle's defense mechanism, because they can't retract into their shells, is incredibly fast swimming speed. So they can swim up to
Really?
somewhere around like 40, 45 miles an hour
That's
underwater.
That's hella fast.
It's hella fast. And I've seen them swim that fast because there have been times where I've dove down and I've tried to swim out at them as fast as I can. And then you see them and they go, "Foof, foof, 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 foof," and all of a sudden they're like on the other side of the ocean and you're like,
Like,
holy shit.
Okay,
that thing
45 miles an
flew.
hour with a hard shell, it could literally kill you if it wanted.
Oh, yeah. Like it might
It could just
Mario
run its
Kart.
shell
Ramming
into your
speed.
head.
Yeah, that's Mario Kart death right there. That's knocking you from first to eighth in an instant.
That's their source material.
That's their source material. Honestly, it might be. Yeah.
Think
But
you should-
yeah, recently swam with a sea turtle. The reason I dove down to go look at it was because I was talking to my brother-in-law and I was like, "Did you know how fast sea turtles could swim? Watch this." And I dove down to like see if it would go run away. Just chilled the whole time. It was just hanging out. It was eating grass. I was petting it. I was like, "Hey, buddy." I was like swimming underneath it, like looking up at it and everything. And it was like still just hanging out.
Selfie.
Honestly, if I would have had a waterproof case, 100% would have been taken.
He would have
so many
like
pics.
shotgunned.
Yeah, for
like,
real.
No,
Like Crush. Finding Nemo.
I had a whole sea turtle experience. Actually, this ties in very well, and then we can end the show. But I want to get my last story in here. We went to Hawaii together for a friend's wedding,
Oh, very nice.
and my first time snorkeling ever. And
which is crazy to me.
yeah, but like my family didn't do
We
shit.
grew up in San Diego.
There's also not a lot of visibility in the water in the Pacific Ocean.
That's true. It's
though.
pretty
You
rough.
gotta
It's
you gotta
just
like
mud.
dive down or go to Catalina, to see
Well,
anything.
It's like we had snorkels and goggles, but like you use them in your swimming pool, and like you get bored of that pretty easily. You're like, cool, the bottom again. I didn't know you were supposed to go like look at cool stuff in the ocean with it. Anyway, I
Yeah.
missed out. But we went to Hawaii, and I saw a sea turtle, and I was like, I'm gonna follow it. And I was so amazed because fish swim away from you instantly.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you can't get near a fish. A fish sees you and bails.
Oh yeah, because you're a threat.
But I started like following the sea turtle, and it was like he was going at a pace I could keep up with, and I kept waiting for him to just like disappear, but he like let me hang out with him, and so I followed him. We were all hanging out, and I was like, we didn't even say a word to each other. I'm just gonna go do this now because I was like entranced, and so I started following this turtle, and then we like go down like through different reefs, and I feel like it's like almost like a labyrinth underground of reefs,
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, and I'm following this turtle. I'm like, this is, I didn't even stop to think this is magical. I was just feeling the magic and the pull of this turtle. And then he takes me into this area, and then he like swims off, and this area, there's just a shark circling.
Oh, fantastic. The shark hired him. For
To be
sure.
fair,
That's what I'm saying.
Where we were snorkeling was called Sharks Cove. So it wasn't that much of a surprise.
You had it coming a little bit for sure.
Like we chose this spot on purpose.
Yeah, I think it's like you think places. It's like, oh, Pirates Reef,
There's no
Sharks
pirates there.
Cove.
Of course, there's not a
Like,
pirate here.
Dinosaur Land. Like,
Dinosaur
no,
Land.
it's not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sharks Cove. You
There
saw a
are
shark.
sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw a shark.
Do you know what kind of shark it was? Was it like a nurse shark?
I looked it
or-
up. It was a reef shark.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Like a
We
reef
were
tip
in the
shark.
reef.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see the shark because I had already swam off
Yeah.
at that point. But you said it wasn't like crazy
I would say,
massive or anything.
I think it was probably 5 feet,
which,
maybe.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, usually reef sharks.
That's
about
big
that
enough
size.
to not want to get near it.
But the thing is like it was going in a circle, and there was all these little fish swimming with it.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, they are easy snacks. This shark must not be hungry right now.
Yeah.
Like I kind of
Probably a
felt like
symbiotic relationship.
It might
There's
be,
a lot
yeah.
of those.
Yeah. I kind of was like a codependent thing.
It could be.
I kind of
Like, speaking of
Sure.
It's really
codependence.
unhealthy. They need to
Let's
go
get into
therapy.
let's get into codependence for the last minute.
like the shark, honestly, because the fish felt comfortable with him, I was like, he's not going to attack me. He's fine right now.
Surely, yeah.
If the fish trusts this shark, I will trust this shark. And, that's always panned out for me in life. So,
there you go. Well, that's
know.
awesome.
Trust the fish.
What a beautiful
the
thing
fish.
Well-
to have that relationship.
Before we get out of here, where can all the people find you?
Where can they find me? Probably not many places unless you follow my touring schedule. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm on
and then
Instagram.
if you do, like everywhere.
That is true. Yeah,
Yeah.
If I do go on tour, then shoot, maybe I'll come. Maybe I'll come to your state. Maybe I'll come to your town. Come over to your house. Maybe you can make me dinner. No, I'm just
He
kidding.
might even come to your
I might
sea-level
even come to your
college
sea-level-
market.
I might come to your stupid little college town. No, I'm just kidding. I love college towns. They are the most fun. The fans are always excited. People are always really cool. Coffee shops are always fun to go to and see all the local stuff. But yeah, Instagram at Carson T. Cody. Twitter, same thing. Well, I guess it's X now, huh? Ugh, but
Whatever.
yeah, whatever. But yeah, on Twitter, on Instagram, my Twitter or my X, I guess, is like mostly just me saying stupid shit. My Instagram is mostly me talking about music that I've made or worked on or, am making. And, in the past it has been a lot about birds. I'm on TikTok too, but I don't really use TikTok except to consume videos that my friends will send me. But I might get more into it in the future, now that I have this Wurlitzer in my house. I might do a couple of little loops here and there. I was thinking about actually starting up doing like TikTok lives where I do like ambient synth loops kind of thing for people that are like trying to go to sleep, kind of
That's
thing.
kind of fun.
Lull people to sleep kind of thing because I just have so many synths. It's like I could just press hold on my Juno and then go play a funky thing on my Prophet, hit a little Mellotron note, whatever.
Do you have an
Anna, Thank you
OnlyFans?
so much for the gift. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Yes, I'll be here for a little bit longer.
See, the problem is
Do I have an OnlyFans? No, I
that
don't.
would wake me right back up.
Oh, it would when
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually
As soon
tune
as you
into the
start talking, I'd be
microphone.
like, Jesus!
Like, oh God, somebody's
Somebody's
here.
here?
Yeah, it would have to be something like ASMR where I'm like whispering
Yeah.
into the mic or something, or like I have like a ton of reverb on my mic, that
This
makes
is
it
starting to
ambient.
sound like an OnlyFans.
It honestly,
I feel like
yeah.
you don't understand what OnlyFans is.
I may not understand.
Sometimes I do feel
It's
like
not-
the TikTok live,
not a generally
whatever it might be,
audio-based.
is basically OnlyFans for free. you
I
know?
heard a lady could make some money by showing her feet around here.
Only
Yo, I don't know if this is all like if this is common to like women in general, and I'm not trying to like stereotype. I will just say for our friend group, specifically our friend group, every wife has talked about I would do a feet OnlyFan.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
it seems easy.
My wife
It seems easy.
My wife has said that. I've said you absolutely will not do it.
I have had friends, actually, funny
Please.
enough.
Yo, it's all of them.
I mean, yeah, and this,
All of
the
our
economy's
wives want
tough.
to be
All of,
only on OnlyFans.
because why not? If people are going to look at them in photos anyway, might as well make some
You
money.
can make
off
some
of it.
money, and it's like who cares about your feet?
There are a lot of strange people out there
That do.
Yeah, I have had some friends who I think have tried to do the selling of feet pics online. Most people that I've talked to, and by most of the people I mean I've maybe talked to one or two people who have done this. I don't. Not everybody that I know is like, oh yeah, I've done that. I've tried
you
that.
know, like 70
But like the
people.
one or two people that I've talked to are like actually doing the whole feet pic online thing. It's a lot harder than just throwing up a foot photo and making $5 from it kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like
You still got to market.
you got to market yourself. You got to talk to some really weird people.
It's just like anything else.
just like anything else.
So I was thinking about it, and I was like, but what if? Because what if you had like a virtual assistant doing the communication part for you?
Okay.
Has anyone thought about that?
I'm
But then
sure
they're taking,
there
they're
are
taking
probably
cuts
people
though
doing
now
it.
too.
But if
they're
you're
taking
just
cuts,
like-
you got to charge more.
If I if I could just take a picture of my foot, but like obviously it's really creepy if you do that because you get sucked into this world where you like you're
Right.
talking to weird people that are like twinkle your toes.
Yeah,
But
or like,
like,
I want you to step in some
twinkle your
mud. And you're just like, oh,
Step in the
what?
thickest mud.
Yeah, step in some grass. Like, I want you to put your foot in this, and you're just like,
Put it on a turtle.
put it on a turtle. Put your foot on a tortoise.
But if like you had a virtual assistant that you were paying to answer those questions, and you have to be a part of that, maybe it's not so bad.
it might not.
Maybe
be.
it's not so weird.
I don't
Anyway,
know.
that was an odd place to wrap up the
That's a
episode.
weird
but-
place to end, but sure.
crazy rap to a podcast. I never would have thought this
So
is
if I
how it
could
would've
kind
gone.
of summarize, you can find Carson on X, Twitter, whatever
Yes,
you want to
X,
call
Twitter, Instagram,
TikTok,
TikTok.
Instagram,
Yep.
but not on OnlyFans
Not on OnlyFans.
until he figures out a
Yet.
way to hire a virtual assistant to do
Yes,
it.
to do the feet pics or something. I don't know what I would sell on OnlyFans. Hand photos,
Mellotron photos,
hand model,
dude.
Mellotron photos,
Keyboard photos. Your hands
Keyboard
playing
photos.
keyboards, and they'd be
Yeah.
like, he's got
Some
long
weird-
fingers.
Some weird guys on there like, let me see
Your
them
fingers.
hands. I want to see the
See them
fingers, man.
phalanges.
Play the C major.
Play the C. Oh, that's it. Add a seventh. Oh my god! And you're just like, what the hell? You could do this yourself. That's
Jesus.
what's crazy.
Well, anyways,
Well,
guys,
anyways.
thanks for coming to hang
On
out.
that note,
You guys are awesome. We'll see y'all next
Sweat
time.
stains on the east side. 2 kids on a long drive. Blackout in the bathroom. We don't have to talk about it. Fist fight at fast spot. Thrown out with a fresh cut. Kiss me if you want to, but we don't have to talk about it. There is something to the feeling, heading out of the window. Being okay that we don't know, and we can have it like we used to, over and over and over and over again, over and over and over and over again. Chain smoke on the screen porch. Show me what you're proud of. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. Line cook, janitor. That year I was invisible back in the closet, celibate. But we don't have to talk about it.